From the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, California, CBS Sports presents the National Football Conference Championship game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Sonny Jurgensen. A magnificent day in Los Angeles. Temperature about 70 degrees, and the crowd here giving their thanks to Drew Pearson. We understand it was below zero early this morning in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Sonny, going into the ball game today, being an ex-quarterback, let's talk about the most important factor as you see it.
Well, I really think, Vin, that the most important thing for the Dallas Cowboys is to stop the Los Angeles Rams on first down. They have to control them on first down. Last week against the Cardinals, they averaged 7.9 yards on first down. That is their key down. I think, on the other hand, for Los Angeles, it's the other way. They have to defense the shotgun better than they did on opening day when they lost 18-7.
This is actually the third meeting of the year. When the Rams beat them 35-7 in an exhibition game, Dallas stunned the Rams, beating them 18-7. And this one, it's the big one for Super Bowl 10.
Saddle, a long night sleeping on the hard ground. But now comes Miller time, and those are beautiful words for the time when you head for the best tasting beer you can find. America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
If you got the time, we got the beer, Miller Beer.
Most people's biggest investment is their home. But their second biggest investment could be in here, their car. So protected with Quaker State motor oil. Regular changes of Quaker State can help reduce costly engine repairs. Made from high-quality Pennsylvania-grade crude oil, you can find Quaker State in more places than ever. HD, Super Blend, or Deluxe. Your second biggest investment, your car, is well worth the investment in Quaker State.
Fantastic scoring play by that New York Life Insurance team. Let's see the instant replay. Look at those New York Life pros blocking out Jake's money problems, stopping his retirement worries. And there he is, reaching his goal. Jake's got financial security.
New York Life made it happen.
Where the name of the game is life, there's New York Life.
And now, with the Pasadena City College Band, that's the official Tournament of Roses band, along with the Marine Color Guard marching out to the middle of the field. In a moment, Miss Catherine Grayson will sing our national anthem, and this large crowd asked to stand as the colors brought to the 30-yard line.
In honor of America, please join singing star of radio, television, and motion pictures, Catherine Grayson, accompanied by the Tournament of Roses Band in our national anthem.
Bright sun, through the
under magnificent weather conditions here in Los Angeles. We are just moments away from the start of the kickoff. We understand that Dallas has won the toss and elected to receive. That means we'll see Roger Staubach coming out right away to get his ball club going. And for Roger Staubach, a return to the Coliseum, the years go tumbling by. It was back in 1961 that a young midshipman by the name of Staubach led a Navy team here. And Roger Staubach, almost but not quite, upset a great SC ball club. But that's the first time in Southern California they really got to know the name Staubach. And from then on, with his association with Dallas and against the Rams, he's a household word in these parts. Roger Staubach at the helm. He's had some bad ribs. He also had a bruised elbow. Sonny, you were talking to him yesterday. What's his latest feeling?
He said he's 100% now. He said his ribs aren't bothering him. Probably in the best condition he's been in throughout the year because he has been banged up. But looking forward to it, and he said, we hope that we can get that shotgun going.
Tom Dempsey will be kicking off for the Rams, and deep Doug Dennison along with Preston Pearson. Dennison is 21, Preston Pearson 26. Tom Dempsey says he is ready, and here we go for the NFC Championship, and a trip to Miami. He squirts one, tricky hop fielded by Dennison on the 2, to the 15, to the 20, across the 25, and he's buried. On the very top was John Capoletti along with Al Cowlings, Jim Peterson, and slowly getting up from the bottom was Dennis Harrah, who made the initial hit along with Rick Cave. So they all piled up, and here we go. The Cowboys, an explosive ball club. They were third in total offense. They were fifth rushing and fourth passing, and they were first in the NFC in offense. Staubach sends Drew Pearson wide to the left, Golden Richards wide to the right, and his tight end, Gene Puget, is on the left side. Pearson in motion. There's a handoff to Newhouse, and he's stacked up immediately as he falls forward for perhaps a yard. Sonny, you were talking about the importance of first down.
First down certainly is important, I think, for the Cowboys, possibly third down, what they do with the shotgun. They had some success in the first game against the Rams with it. Let's see what they do today. In talking with the Ram defensive people, they say they're going to play it a little differently than they did in Dallas.
2nd and 8, the ball on the Dallas 29-yard line. Pearson goes right, Golden Richards left, and now that's Drew Pearson in motion to the left. Dennison hit and then burst across the 30-yard line. A good second effort. Merlin Olsen, 14 years experience, number 74, was the man to hit him first. For the Rams, they have some experience with Olsen spearheading the defensive line. Jack Youngblood, Dreyer are not exactly grizzly veterans, nor are the linebackers.
They might get our first look at the shotgun.
3rd and 6 now, and they load up the shotgun. There's Staubach standing back on the 25. And Roger dropping back to pass. Goes high to the left side and overthrows Golden Richards. Right there with him was Monty Jackson, number 28. So Staubach misfires on the first shotgun, and the Cowboys will have to kick.
He was being safe with the ball, threw it away, made sure it wasn't intercepted.
Going deep for the Rams, Rob Scribb, number 33, and Dave Elmendorf, number 42. Mitch Huffs, who burned the Rams when he ran instead of punting for 13 yards and a first down the first time they met this year. He's also passed out of a punt formation, and he's 1 for 3. But this time he's going to kick it. And it is a very short kick. And grabbed on one hop by Elmendorf at about the 38-yard line, and the Rams are in action. This telecast, presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the Los Angeles Rams and the National Football League is prohibited. That was a 31-yard punt for Mitch Huffs.
Pretty good field position here, Ben, for the Rams starting out. And, of course, we're seeing James Harris.
Ron Jesse in a slot left. He's inside Harold Jackson. 1st and 10 on the 38. Cullen Bryant, Lawrence McCutcheon, the running back, and here goes McCutcheon, hit and stacks at the 40-yard line. McCutcheon last week against the Cardinals carried 37 times for 202 yards. And it's Jethro Pugh who hit him first, along with Ed Jones.
21 of those carries were on first down. They averaged 5.3 yards a carry on first down. You see the Dallas flex defense, and which is designed to stop the run, and it did then.
Again, Jesse in a slot inside Harold Jackson to the left. Terry Nelson, the tight end, on the right side. And it's Scribner and McCutcheon now, as Scribner and Bryant alternate all day. Harris gives to McCutcheon. Grabs, spun around, and knocked down by Dave Edwards, who made the initial hit. Then Charlie Waters and Jethro Pugh, but it was Edwards who has played 200 games. And we might talk about the veteran linebacking squad. Number 52, Dave Edwards. Number 55, Leroy Jordan. Number 50, D.D. Lewis. Amongst them, they have played 500 games. That's a lot of experience going on back of the line.
Leroy, talking with him, he's down from 221 pounds to 205 pounds. He said he's in great shape. I said, but at 2'5" playing middle linebacker?
3rd and 11 from the Ram 37-yard line. Jackson wide left, Jesse wide right, and Bryant back in there with McCutcheon. And I think too much time. Let's see. Jim Harris studying a rather complicated Dallas defense. And we'll see whether it's too much time, and that's what it'll be. Tommy Bell is our referee. Pat Harder, Ed Marion, Bill Swanson, and Tom Kelleher, Dick Dulac. And Jack Lemon.
Is he one of the officials, too?
A delay of game penalty. So that makes it 3rd and 16 from the Ram 32-yard line. Jesse wide left, Jackson right, and Terry Nelson, the tight end, on the left side. Scribner and McCutcheon a split. Harris, a turn, a give to McCutcheon. He got by Jones, and he's finally knocked down by Benny Barnes, number 31, along with Mark Washington, who came along to drive him out.
Very conservative call there, 3rd and about 15 to run a sweep. It's good for Harris coming into this game, then, to get a completion under his belt. He needs to throw the ball something short, get a good completion. He'll get a feel of what he's doing.
Golden Richards all alone on his own 26-yard line. And Dwayne Carroll, who won a game ball last year against the Cardinals, kicking for Dallas, now kicks against the Cowboys. It's short. Richards takes it on the 31. Trying to get a block, and he doesn't get it, but he does dive across the 40. He was waiting for Warren Capone, number 59, to get a good angle block for him. Capone couldn't do it, and that took away any chance for a lengthy rundown. No score, 11 and a half to go in the first quarter.
Drive. I'm glad we Ford's new Pinto Pony MPG. Gives me a car for the money. It's got a strong unitized body, a 2.3-liter engine, and front disc brakes. It also has a safety-designed front end and roof structure, an energy-absorbing steering column, and steel guardrails. It's a little car, but not too little, and I like that. After all, no matter how much fun it is, there's a serious side to driving.
The closer you look, the better we look. There's a special kind of beer. It was created nearly a century ago by people who really cared about things, like brewing a quality beer, no matter what the cost. The Budweiser people still think that's worth caring about. They're making sure that caring isn't just a memory. And every taste of Beechwood-aged Budweiser says so, and always will.
By the way, in covering this game today, the Goodyear blimp will fly approximately 100 miles circling the Coliseum with the CBS camera in the sky. Right now, it's 1st and 10 for the Cowboys on their own 40-yard line. Staubach has Richards on the left, but he gives to Preston Pearson, who does a good fake to get by Jack Reynolds, but has to pay for it at about the 43-yard line. Reynolds tried to come up, Hacksaw, as they call him, number 64, and Preston able to escape him. Hacksaw Reynolds got the nickname When his Tennessee club was upset by Ole Miss in his senior year, Reynolds was so angry, he took a hacksaw and sawed a 53 Chevy in half. It took him 2 days. That's where the origin of the nickname Hacksaw. Middle linebacker, Jack Reynolds. All right, 2nd and 8. The ball on the Cowboy 43. Richards left. Here comes Drew Pearson in motion. Staubach shovels to Dennison. He's off Reynolds, and finally Elmendorf hits him, but a good carry to get out of the hands of Jack Reynolds, who had him at the 45-yard line, and instead he wouldn't quit and picked up some more. Take another look.
He does a good job here. Watch Reynolds in pursuit, taking his pursuit angles, playing off the blockers, moving laterally. You see him just missing the tackle there. He had a shot at him, but Dennison broke the tackle. That's Doug Dennison's a fine runner.
So here come the Cowboys. 3rd and about 1, just shy of midfield. Out of the eye. 2 tight ends on the right side to get a little single wing blocking. And Preston Pearson upended by Cody Jones, and I don't know if he made it or not. Cody Jones hit him low and sent him high in the air. Jones, number 76.
It's going to be a close. I think he'll have to measure for it. According to where they spot it. Nope.
They didn't make it.
Not even close.
So the Ram defense gave up only 135 points all year and only 4 touchdowns rushing, and they stiffened.
Now, Vin, they have 5 starters that are not playing this game that started against Foster Brooks here, huh?
Taking the pledge.
They have 5 starters that aren't starting today that started against them at the beginning of the season.
Mitch Huff will punt from the 35. Rod Scribner standing alone on the Ram 10-yard line. Huff's a high pass in center, but he had plenty of time. There was nobody coming. Scribner has the ball hit on the 20 and kick out of bounds at the 18-yard line. So the Rams will open up shop. 1st and 10 on their own 18. So the Cowboys have had the ball twice. The Rams have had it once. 2nd time upcoming. Neither club has had any kind of a drive with 9.5 to go in the 1st quarter.
Good times wherever we are. Good friends, good and close to home. More good news from our car. Well, don't you know there's good news round the corner? Good times wherever you are. Good friends, good and close to home. More good years in your car. Yes, there's good news round the corner. Good times wherever you are. Good year, good and close to home. For more good years in your car. Come see, there's good news round the corner. Good year wherever you are. Good year, good and close to home. For more good years in your car. Oh yes, there's good year round the corner. Good year wherever you are. Good year, good and close to home. For more good years
And Goodyear service. He's read the break.
Johnny Miller shoots for another red-hot January start and defends his 1975 title in 2 weeks at the Phoenix Open. That's Saturday, January 17th, and the next day following Super Bowl X, right here on CBS.
The Rams and the Cowboys on a beautiful day in Los Angeles, a big crowd at the Coliseum. Tom Landry was won 126 games, lost 90 and 6 ties. The 7th winningest coach in football. Jim Harris now. James starting his drive on his own 18. He has Bryant and McCutcheon back of him. Harold Jackson wide right. Ron Jesse left. McCutcheon inside Cullen Bryant's block. Gets out to the 25. He also got a good block from Rich Saul, the center, who pulled and cleared the way. He took. So 2 good blocks by Cullen Bryant and also by Rich Saul. And that brings McCutcheon.
They made a fine
to the 25.
They made a fine cut back off of his blocking, and that's the first play they've been successful on 1st down.
So 2nd and 3. From about the 25. On the wing goes Scribner now, so McCutcheon is all alone. Harris hesitates, throws the ball to D.D. Lewis. He's hit at the 20, falls inside. And it was Charlie Cowan, number 73, playing on a bad ankle, who had to come back and shoestring, and the Wolves are howling at James Harris.
Yes, you can see the fake. He tried to force it. He actually thought the receiver was going out. He made a bad throw. That's the thing. You got to get that first completion under your belt. And he gets it, but to the wrong side, to D.D. Lewis.
D.D. Lewis, with 109 games under his belt, the right man in the right spot, and only a limping Charlie Cowan was able to tie him down, or he might have gone all the way. So the Cowboys, in the first big break, take over 1st and 10 on the 19-yard line of Los Angeles. Preston Pearson and Robert Newhouse, a fake to both of them. Staubach, a little Pearson. He's to the 10, to the 5, gets by Simpson. Touchdown, Dallas.
A great call in that situation. Had good blocking. Really great blocking. You can see here, going back, setting up the screen. They run a screen to Pearson coming through from the other side. They kind of cross their backs on it to confuse the linebackers. You can see the blocking out in front of him. Fitzgerald, Nye, Lawless, and you see him cut back, and it's just fine running by Pearson's part. Breaks the tackle by Simpson and goes in for the touchdown.
The only man who had a shot at him very early was Dave Elmendorf, but he was able to slip away from Elmendorf, and then the dance was over. So Preston Pearson brings it over, and for Pearson, he had 2 touchdowns rushing this year, and he picks that one up as his 3rd touchdown pass of the year. Tony Fritz kicks it up, and good. So the Cowboys, on a clutch interception by D.D. Lewis and a screen pass to Preston Pearson, are out in front of the Los Angeles Rams 7-0 in the early going of the first quarter.
This is the spirit of Johnny Miller Men's Wear.
Every day, in every way, a man should play to win.
Right. And
That's America's style.
And because Johnny Miller Menswear is from Sears, you get fine tailoring at a fair and square price.
It's America's style.
Exclusively in selected Sears stores.
Independence Square, Philadelphia. And there go the Larsons to discover a part of America's history.
Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence.
Liberty Bell is inscribed, proclaim liberty throughout
Later
all
they
countries."
discover
Oh, no, the lights.
the Sears Die-Hard with extra power to start your car when most batteries won't. It's making history. Sold only at Sears.
The Dallas Cowboys leading the Los Angeles Rams 7-0. Tony Fritz kicks off, and it's fielded, battled by Jesse, recovers on his own 15-yard line, and there are Cowboys in pursuit. Barnes and Henderson finally brought him down. Tom Henderson, number 56, who can really fly. Henderson on a reverse returned a kickoff 97 yards for a touchdown this year. This time he went after Jesse and nailed him, and the crowd booing James Harris. Psychologically, that really has to hurt. Have you ever been booed by your own hometown?
Are you kidding? Yes, especially in Philadelphia, but it is something that you just have to forget and go about your business.
1st and 10 on the Ram 25. Ron Jesse wide right, Harold Jackson left. Out of the eye, Cullen Bryant the tailback, and now comes to split. The Veer defense, and here comes McCutcheon, and he's hit by Harvey Martin first of all, and down he goes. Harvey Martin, Mean Harvey, who's a teammate in college of Dwight White at East Texas State, and Harvey lowered the boom.
Harris is going to have to be careful now, not to get conservative, not to be scared to put the ball in the air. He needs to, going to have to throw the ball short on 1st down against this defense, because this is one of the best defenses in football on 1st down against the rush.
2nd and 9 on the Ram 26. Ron Jesse wide right, Harold Jackson left, out of the eye. Now Scribner moving alongside Lawrence McCutcheon. Harris gives to Scribner. In front of him is Joe Schiavelli. However, Schiavelli can't do it alone, and Charlie Waters, along with Gregory, Dave Edwards, they all made the hit.
Dave Edwards made a fine play, turning the play back in and making the tackle.
Edwards, a 13-year veteran out of Auburn. He was once cut by Dallas as a receiver back in '62, but he's made it as a stub, a strong side linebacker, and he's played 200 games. Out he goes now for extra pass defense. Cowboys almost caught with a crowd on the field. McCutcheon and Bryant. And Harris back to pass. Down the middle and low, intended for his tight end, Terry Nelson. The pass was underthrown, and the complexion, the flavor of the game is the frustration of James Harris and the big decision by Chuck Knox to start him.
Well, you can see he pushed that ball. He didn't deliver it like the James Harris you know that can throw the thing. And he has a very strong arm, but that wasn't a very natural delivery.
For Dallas, Golden Richards standing on his own 35-yard line. Dwayne Carroll, as we said, kicked for Dallas last year and gets a poor cutoff. It barely gets to midfield and bounces down to the 35, and it'll roll and is down at the 32. So the Cowboys will take over 1st and 10 on their own 32, and one thing has held up. Neither team can boast of a great punter. They rank 9th and 10th in the conference, and we have not seen a good punt yet. You know, the dimensions of the Goodyear blimp, the Columbia, if they were placed on the Rams goal line, the tail would be on the Dallas 36-yard line. That's a big baby covering the ball game. Doug Dennison will take the handoff, get across the 35. Blaine Nye was out in front leading the block, and he went down under Cody Jones' pressure. And there is the pride of Youngstown and Lackawanna, Ron Jaworski, the Polish rifle, who led the Rams to consecutive victories over some big-name quarterbacks like Hadel and Hart to get him here.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Knox does, whether or not how early he will make a change, if in fact he'll make it in the next possession.
Staubach going to the right sideline, caught by Drew Pearson, knocked out of bounds by Eddie McMillan, and is just shy of midfield. A great leaping catch by Drew Pearson. And of course, Pearson, who burned Minnesota, burned the Rams back in 1973 with one of those big 80-yard passes. Take another look.
You can see the concentration he has here in jumping up and making the catch, knowing you're going to get hit when you come down. Great concentration to catch the ball here. And McMillan takes him out of bounds.
Roger Staubach leading 7-0. Drew Pearson goes wide right. Golden Richards left. And there's a little draw to Doug Dennison, and he gets across the 40-yard line and just short of the 35. He went right on by Isaiah Robertson, who got a piece of him, but he carried just shy of the 35-yard line. So a great run. Bill Simpson finally brought him down.
Just a little roll draw, and he just runs to daylight, breaks outside the play designed to go inside of the defensive end. Dreyer had closed down so much that he was able to take the thing outside and found some daylight.
The Ram home record is 21-2 under Chuck Knox, but Tom Landry has his boys really going to the whip and early. Preston Pearson and Robert Newhouse have split. Drew Pearson in motion to the left. Play action fake to Pearson. Staubach down the middle, and it is intercepted. Intercepted by Bill Simpson. He's to the 40, to midfield, and knocked down there by Roger Staubach. Roger Staubach had to come and take Simpson down, and we'll take another look at another redhead. Bill Simpson.
He was just high on this pass, Ben. A little play action. He had him open, but he overthrows him. You see the height. Great interception. If he starts back up, if Staubach doesn't make the tackle, if he doesn't make the tackle here, you'll see him coming in the picture. Simpson will score. You see the tackle by Staubach.
So the Rams
Chuck Knox has made the change.
Ron Jaworski is at quarterback. 1st and 10 on the Cowboy 49. 7-0 Dallas. Cullen Bryant, Lawrence McCutcheon, the running backs. Jesse wide left. The tight end Nelson on the left side. And the rifle is going to the air. Down the middle, and he completes it to Cullen Bryant, who is knocked out of bounds by Charlie Waters on the Dallas 20. And the kid has come in with a vengeance.
He certainly came came in humming it. You see Bryant coming out of the backfield at the bottom of your screen. He lets him clear deep. The end comes underneath. He finds him wide open. He got screened off. D.D. Lewis got picked off by the split end, and Bryant came clear.
All right, Jaworski sends Jesse wide left, Jackson wide right. Tight end Nelson on the left side. Scribner in there with McCutcheon. Almost a juggle, but a hand to McCutcheon, who was inside the 20 and buried as Too Tall Jones hit him at the bottom. Leroy Jordan fell on top.
A little bad exchange here. He fumbles the snap, see him go back after it, and gives it to McCutcheon.
That's a gain of a couple of yards. It's Dallas 7, Los Angeles nothing. And the scoreboard now shows us 4 minutes and 55 seconds remaining in the first quarter here on a beautiful sunshiny winter day, and you'd never know it's winter here in Los Angeles.
And you've got to wonder, Don, what's going through the mind of James Harris right now. Was he taken out because did he take himself out, in fact? Maybe he's bothered by that shoulder again. He threw only 2 passes.
It's second down and 7 to go now for the Rams at the Dallas 17-yard line as Jaworski puts setbacks behind him. Fake, and now going back to pass. Throws it to McCutcheon. Over his head around the 2-yard line. Out of bounds. And that'll make it third down and 7. You know, Jim, that's kind of history repeating itself going back to the opener between these two teams. When in that ball game, Harris had trouble in that opener. And Jaworski took over there. And, of course, as things went on, Dallas went on to win that ball game.
Well, of course, the Rams were hurt in that game by 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles. You mentioned Harris had trouble. He was only connected for 20 yards passing. So still an 18-7 Dallas win. And they can't afford to get behind here. They're faced now with a third down situation from the 17 of Dallas.
He played for the Rams. Otherwise, be forced to go for the 3 at this point. They need 7 to get back in. McCutcheon comes to the near side, and Rob Scribner is running mate to the left. Going back to pass is Jaworski. Good protection. Throws to the end zone. Incomplete. Intended. Cutting back that time was Harold Jackson. But covering him tightly was Cliff Harris, the free safety on the play, and that'll make it fourth down and 7 to go for the Rams at the 17-yard line of Dallas. And Tom Dempsey comes in to attempt the field goal.
Pretty good coverage that time by Cliff Harris, the free safety. They sent Ron Jesse from the right side, crossing over the middle. They waited. Jackson ran a little bit of a delay. Good protection that time by the front line offensively for the Rams. Pass just a little bit overthrown, but of course, Jaworski had to be careful also with Harris in the vicinity.
Jaworski is holding at the 24-yard line. Dempsey is 9 for 9 inside that 30-yard distance. This time he's kicking from actually 34 yards out. Waiting for the snap. The Rams trail by 7. Could cut it to 4. Here's the kick. It's blocked. It's loose on the ground. And the Cowboys have it at the 23-yard line. The kick was blocked that time. That was Thomas Henderson, the reserve linebacker from Langston, Oklahoma, who broke through to block that kick. And the Rams remain scoreless, and the Cowboys have it at the 23-yard line.
Whoever takes this NFC Championship game will be on their way to the Super Bowl in Miami on Sunday, January the 18th, and I'll be there along with Ed Ingles with full live coverage of Super Bowl 10. And, of course, our own Win Elliott will have 28 special Super Bowl reports for you over that long Super Bowl weekend leading up to this great event. Special reports throughout the weekend, Super Bowl 10 on Sunday the 18th over most of these CBS radio network stations.
Here's Dallas ready at the 23-yard line. And that has to give their defense a lot of confidence. They yielded 32 yards. And then without a point given to the Rams on that drive as they have the ball back. And through the middle goes Pearson, carrying it up to about the 26-7-yard line. Cody Jones and Jack Youngblood made the stop after a gain of 4, and that'll make it second down and 6 to go for the Cowboys now at their own 26-yard line.
Let's talk a little bit about the Dallas defenses. It could be a big key in this ball game as to how they can stop Los Angeles on first down. Anytime you can hold the Minnesota Vikings to 14 points in Bloomington, you've done some job, and that's exactly what Dallas did a week ago.
Here are the Cowboys ready again now as they line up with Roger Staubach using the split-backs behind him. He's back to pass, throws a little short one to Dennison at the 30. He's up to the 35 to the 38-yard line and gains on that play just about 11 yards before Jack Youngblood spilled him. And that's enough yardage for a first down for the Cowboys. Moving that one, throwing to his backs, coming out. That time Staubach hit Dennison, who had broken clear of the linebacker, the underneath coverage that time, and it'll be first down and 10 to go for the Cowboys now at the 38-yard line. We have 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go, first quarter here in Los Angeles, as Golden Richards comes wide left, and going out right is Drew Pearson. The running backs, Newhouse in the front of the eye. In the tail is Preston Pearson. They shift to a setback now. The handoff is given. A fake and then thrown to Pearson, and out of bounds, incomplete. He had that ball in his fingertips as he ran across the sideline and couldn't hold it, and it's incomplete.
He had him beaten. The man he beat was Bill Simpson there, man out of Michigan State in his third year. Simpson took the inside fake to Newhouse. Pearson was open. The ball just dropped out there in the left flat. First down department, Dallas has 4. The Los Angeles Rams have 1.
And as far as takeaways and giveaways are concerned, they're even, both with an intercepted pass. Rams intercepted 22 this year, Dallas 25, and in overall, the Rams had a surplus of 15, Dallas 9 in recovered fumbles and interceptions. Here's the handoff, given a Pearson to Robert Newhouse. He carries to the 40-yard line. He's stopped that time by Jack Reynolds, who takes his defensive signals for the Rams from the sideline from Ray Malavasi, the former Oakland Raider defensive specialist who came down here to coach the Rams. And Ray calls the defensive signals for the Rams, and Jack Reynolds takes them, although Jack will sometimes change up on that offense if he sees the occasion. 5 defensive backs are in for the Rams now. Steve Priest becomes the 5th member, along with McMillan and Jackson at the corners, Simpson and Elmendorf on the inside of the safety. Now 3rd down, 8 to go, as Staubach expected to go to the shotgun as he does. Therefore have that 5th defensive back. The whistle sounds. We've got a flag called. Somebody might have moved, as Rayfield Wright might have been the one that moved for Dallas. Rayfield, who will be in his 5th Pro Bowl game this year. As a matter of fact, on this Dallas offense, he is the only Cowboy on the Pro Bowl offensive unit. That's one of the more amazing things about this season, Jim, when you consider that here is the #1 offensive team of the conference, and yet there's only one member of the team in the Pro Bowl, and he being Rayfield Wright.
Right. So far, we've only seen Staubach go to the shotgun formation twice, and of course, in the closing moments of that game last week against Minnesota, a man who had some problems getting the ball back to Staubach was John Fitzgerald, who's a 6-year veteran from Boston College. In fact, he was replaced in the latter stage of that ball game for a couple of seconds while he went over the sideline. Another shotgun formation, I would guess, coming up here, Don.
And the Rams have gone to 4 linebackers now. More than Olsen is out. Jim Youngblood, a 4th linebacker, is in there now. 3-man rush putting on Staubach as a shotgun. After the penalty, takes them back, makes it 3rd and 13. Staubach running out of the pocket. He still wants to throw the ball, though, and now he does. He throws to Pearson. Dropped. Incomplete. Staubach knew he had long yardage. If he was 3rd and 5, he would have taken off with that ball that time, but he knew he had long yardage. He was not about to run for it, and that brings up a 4th down and 13. And for now, the 3rd time in 5 possessions today, the Cowboys are forced to kick. They started this drive actually from their 38-yard line, and they end up with a -2. Mitch Hoops is in to kick, and back to receive Dave Elmendorf and Rob Scribner. Kicking from the 35-yard line. There's Hoops getting his kick off the side of his foot, bounding, however, up to the 30, where it's grabbed there by Scribner, and he's pulled out the 32-yard line. That was a 35-yard kick by Hoops, and he got it back for about 2 yards, Scribner did, before he was tackled on the run back that time by Benny Barnes. 1st and 10, with 1 minute and 46 left to go in the first quarter. The Rams have the ball at their 32-yard line.
So let's see now what Ron Jaworski can start to do offensively for the Rams. They have the 1 first down that came on his pass completion that took them down to about the 24-yard line. And as Don reported to you, while the field goal try by Dempsey was blocked, Rams take over now. 1st down, 10 yards to go from their own 32.
Jaworski with the running back, McCutcheon and Bryan in behind him, operating from the eye. They shift out of it now. Harold Jackson, wide right, out left is Rod Jesse. As here's Jaworski going back. The rush is on. He throws his pass incomplete. Pressuring in that time, putting the rush on him up front, was Jethro Pugh. And that'll make it a 2nd and 10 as Jaworski's pass is incomplete. Jaworski has been sacked 1 out of every 5 times he's tried to pass. And this, of course, is something that will happen to a rookie coming into this ball game, as compared, say, to Harris, who was sacked once out of every 14 times this year that he went back to pass. On a comparative note, Staubach, once out of every 10 times. And as as I mentioned, Jaworski once out of 5. The pressure on as they look over that defense a little longer and may hold the ball a little longer than a veteran would. All set once again now. McCutcheon and Scribner, the setbacks behind Jaworski, runs a quarterback draw through the middle and gets up to the 37-38. He had his Schiavelli and Mack, his guards, strap blocking up front. He squeezed through and picks to the 39-yard line, picks up about 7 yards. Ron Jaworski on the run.
You don't think that's his favorite play now, do you, Don? That's the same one he scored on that Saturday night game against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, you know, as a matter of fact, he ran for a quarterback. He scored 3 touchdowns by running before he threw a touchdown pass. So that keeps you guessing. Here's 3rd down and 3 to go now at the 39-yard line of the Rams. Jaworski, again, uses split backs behind. They're not coming out of that I formation today. McCutcheon and Bryant going back to pass on 3rd and 3. Jaworski throws his pass. It's caught at midfield, this time by Jesse, and he's down to the 47-yard line. Charlie Waters was the man who got him. Jesse has a first down for the Rams in Dallas territory at the 46.
Just a simple hook pattern over the right side. He's working one-on-one with Cliff Harris there, turns it in, makes a good catch. The ball thrown right in his stomach, and he turns it upfield for a first down. Now, that's the second first down of the ball game for the Rams. Time running down in the first quarter. We've got time for about 2 more plays. Jaworski brings them up now. First down, 10 yards to go from the Cowboy 47.
About 25 seconds left in the first quarter. Dallas ahead 7-0. Here's Jesse out wide left, Jackson out to the right. The running backs are McCutcheon along with Bryant. The handoff is given this time to McCutcheon. And he carries it up to about the 46-yard line where Jethro Pugh knocks him down in the closing 10 seconds of the quarter. That was a gain, if anything, of a yard. It'll make a 2nd down and 9 to go, and that was probably the last play of the first quarter. And that's it as time runs out here at the Los Angeles Coliseum. The end of the quarter with the score, Dallas 7 and Los Angeles nothing.
Back at the Los Angeles Coliseum after the first quarter of play in this NFC Championship game, the Dallas Cowboys on top by a score of 7-0 over the Los Angeles Rams. And Don, you think of the Rams here at home in the Coliseum, a pretty good record. 19 out of 21 victories in the regular season here at home. Pretty tough club.
Well, actually, you're so right. They are tough to beat here at home, and over that 3-year span, you can add one more to that. They, of course, beat St. Louis here just a week ago to keep their momentum going into this playoff game. And, of course, now so much at stake for these two teams, knowing whoever wins it goes into the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, in case you had not heard earlier, defeated the Oakland Raiders today 16-10. Jim, we'd like to say hello to our listeners around the world on the American Forces radio service, as well as to listeners throughout America listening to us with CBS Radio, and Ram and Dallas Cowboy fans and football fans around the world. We hope you're enjoying this ball game from Los Angeles this afternoon. Here we go, 2nd and 10, starting the second quarter. Here's Jaworski back to pass, throws to the right side. It's caught there at the 45-yard line by McCutcheon down to the 35 and down to the 32-yard line. McCutcheon taking that pass out on the right flat, and he gains about 14 yards on the play before he was stopped, that time by Dave Edwards, the strong side linebacker. It'll be first down and 10 to go for the Rams at the 33-yard line of Dallas now, having started this drive back at the Los Angeles 32-yard line. So, without being slowed, they have moved it 35 yards. The most impressive Ram drive of the day, in fact. They went 32 yards before forced to go for the field goal, which was blocked by Tom Henderson of the Cowboys. Here's Jaworski again, dropping back to throw a pass. He is rushed and hit back to the 45-yard line. Coming through, Harvey Martin. As I mentioned before, a great pass rusher from the right side of that line. Former East Texas State star, tough as they come. And Martin sacked Jaworski back at the 45-yard line.
Pretty good battle going on over on the right side there. Tom Mack, 6'3", 250. Charlie Cowan, 6'4", 265. Trying to contain Harvey Martin, number 79, his 3rd year out of East Texas State. That time, Martin getting through there. Coming in the regular season now, the Cowboys had a total of 41 sacks. And that time, Jaworski just got up and had a couple of words to say to Tommy Mack and Charlie Cowan. But a good battle going on the left side of that wall.
That's a loss on the play of 12, 2nd and 22. Jaworski again going back to pass. This time gets rid of it. Throws his pass. Caught this time by Terry Nelson, the tight end, on the 32-yard line. And he gains about those 12 yards that he lost in the previous play. I mentioned that Jaworski has been sacked once out of every 5 times he's tried to pass this year, and that is just about that ratio now. That was his 6th pass when he attempt when he was sacked a moment ago. He now is 3 for 6 and good for 54 yards. Staubach, coincidentally, is also 3 for 6 for 42 yards.
And
here we go.
Touchdown.
Yes, in 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10 here for the Rams now. Another key play in the early going of this game. Cowboys ahead 7-0. McCutcheon, along with Bryant, the running backs behind Jaworski. As somebody jumps the signal there, that may be a Cowboy. We'll see in just a moment. Illegal procedure, evidently, is the call from down below against the Rams. We'll take the ball back to the 38. Well, it was 3rd and 10, of course, but now long yardage makes it 3rd and 15. Operating from the Dallas 38-yard line. In any event, Jaworski could have been figured to pass. But he just has 5 additional yards. He has to get down to that 23-yard line for the first down. McCutcheon and Scribner is in for Bryant now. As there goes Jaworski back to pass. Good protection this time. Throws it down to the 23. It's caught there at the 23-yard line. It's rather Warren Jesse at about the 24. He may be a yard short. Or remember, that was a 3rd down play. It's at the 24-yard line. A gain on the play of about 14 yards. The tackle made by Mark Washington, the left cornerback.
He had it, Don, but he came back for the ball.
That's right. I think he planted himself right there at the 23 where he said he knew he had to get. They're going to, as a matter of fact, they're now, it looks as though they're calling for a measurement here.
I think he'll be about 2 feet short. As I mentioned, he had the first down, came back for the ball to make sure of the reception, and Washington just bumped him to bring him down to the ground there, and I think he'll be about 2 feet short. Bring up a 4th down situation. So now if you're Chuck Knox with 12:43 to go in the quarter, and in the first half you're down by 7 points, what do you do in a situation like this, if in fact you need another 2 feet, Don?
Well, you decide whether you're going to go for the field goal or to rush, and you also do a little praying, maybe, huh?
Make it 3 feet. He missed it by a yard. So they'll take the field goal, and then comes Tom Dempsey.
Hey, some of the crowd doesn't agree, huh?
Well, they're probably not too happy because the first field goal try that Dempsey had was blocked.
Dempsey was trying on that occasion from the 24-yard line. This time he's going to be a little deeper. He's going to be kicking. They'll have to set up around the 31-yard line for this field goal attempt. The Rams taking it down. You see now the significance of that 5-yard procedure penalty. Otherwise, you'd have to figure they would have had a first down. And now from the 31, Ron Jaworski will hold and Tom Dempsey will kick. He's kicking from 41 yards out from the 31-yard line, waiting for the snap. Placed down and kicked. This one gets away, has good distance. And it is wide to the left, though, and no good. And the field goal attempt from 41 yards is no good. So the Rams will give up the ball at about the 24-yard line. There are the breaks of the game, Jim. That 5-yard penalty against the Rams. Otherwise, they'd still have possession. But they moved the ball on that drive on their own 32-yard line. They ended up at the 24. They went their longest distance of the day, 44 yards. We've got a timeout in the second half with 12 and a half minutes to go in the first half here. And the score is Dallas 7 and Los Angeles nothing.
Roy Girella kicked a 36-yard field goal midway through the second period Sunday to give the Pittsburgh Steelers a 3-0 lead at halftime of their American Conference Championship over the Oakland Raiders. Girella's field goal came 5 plays after Mike Wagner intercepted Ken Stabler's pass and returned it to the Steelers' 48. Terry Bradshaw passed 26 yards to Lynn Swann to the Raider 26 to set up Girella's kick. And that game, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers won over the Oakland Raiders by the score of 16-10. And the winner of this contest will be facing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl in Miami next Sunday. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Lynn Swann was carried from the field on a stretcher late in the third quarter of that AFC Championship game with the Oakland Raiders after suffering a head injury. The injury occurred after Swann caught a Terry Bradshaw pass and was tackled by George Atkinson. Right now, let's go back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
Cowboys have the ball. First down and 10 to go. They'll operate from their 24-yard line after taking over from the missed field goal. Staubach is ready. Working out of the I formation this time. The fake to Pearson. The handoff and an end around to Puget. And Puget goes up to about the 28-yard line. As that time faking to the tailback in the I formation, Pearson. Then the handoff to the end around to Gene Puget, the veteran defensive end, fourth-year man. Actually, Monty Jackson and Bill Simpson stopped him after a gain of the 29, a gain of about 5 yards on the play. Puget taking over at that tight end spot after regaining the position in a battle with Billy Joe Dupree. Here's Dallas ready again, this time operating from a slot back formation on the right side. In the middle there is Golden Richards. The pass to the far side is out of bounds, intended for Preston Pearson. And that'll bring up a 3rd and 5 for Dallas, just short of this 30-yard line.
7-0 Dallas, set up by a D.D. Lewis interception, then a Staubach to Pearson 18-yard touchdown pass. Otherwise, Don, offensively, the #1 team in the NFC hasn't done too much this afternoon.
This is actually their 6th possession. They've been forced to kick on 3 occasions. The one interception by Bill Simpson for the Rams stopped one drive, and as Jim mentioned, the touchdown scoring pass Staubach to Pearson. Here we go now, 3rd down and 4 to go. 5 defensive backs are in there for the Rams now. The shotgun formation goes Roger Staubach. He's back to pass, has the ball. Plenty of time, throws one 35-40 yards down to Richards. He's got it at the 35-yard line to the 30-yard line. And Dallas has a first down deep in Los Angeles territory at the 29. From the 29 to the 29, a distance.
Reception, then a Staubach to Pearson 18-yard touchdown pass. Otherwise, Don, offensively, the #1 team in the NFC hasn't done too much this afternoon.
This is actually their 6th possession. They've been forced to kick on 3 occasions. The one interception by Bill Simpson for the Rams stopped one drive, and as Jim mentioned, the touchdown scoring pass Staubach to Pearson. Here we go now, 3rd down and 4 to go. 5 defensive backs are in there for the Rams now. The shotgun formation goes Roger Staubach. He's back to pass, has the ball. Plenty of time, throws one 35-40 yards down to Richards. He's got it at the 35-yard line to the 30-yard line. And Dallas has a first down deep in Los Angeles territory at the 29. From the 29 to the 29, a distance of 42 yards. Monty Jackson was the man who got him at the 29-yard line, and his first down Dallas, striking through the air on the longest gainer of the day. A 42-yard pass ever that time, and right on target of Golden Richards. Richards tightly defended by Monty Jackson, but he beat him by a step. Jackson, one of the rookie cornerbacks in there, replacing Al Clark, of course, who was out with a broken leg. And that is the spot that Dallas might feel that the Rams are vulnerable. Jackson and McMillan, the 2 new cornerbacks in there. And here we go, 1st and 10 for Dallas at the Rams' 29-yard line. The handoff is given to Pearson. He cuts to his right, then reverses to his left, and gets past the 25 down to the 23-yard line. A gain on the play of maybe 6 yards before Dave Elmendorf and Ken Geddes coming up from that left linebacker spot to stop him. They're going to spot the ball down at about the mark it there at the 22-yard line. And that brings up a 2nd down at about 3.5 to go. A gain of 6.5 yards on the play. And Dallas within striking distance now, already leading 7-0. We're 4.5 minutes into the 2nd quarter at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Here comes Drew Pearson, wide to the right side. Puget and Dupree. 2 tight ends are in there on rather short yardage in the 2nd down. Staubach hands off to Newhouse. He goes outside and picks up a yard, 2, and then is hit short of a first down. Monty Jackson got him. Now with Newhouse cutting to the outside after looking at the hole close on him, I think he wanted to come inside the end and went down just short of a first down. They're going to mark it at the 21-yard line. In fact, that'll leave 3rd down and about 2 to go. Nope, make it the 22-yard line. No gain on the play. Jack Youngblood is coming out of the ballgame limping slightly now. And coming in to replace him is Al Collins from USC. Al joined the Rams mid-season after playing previously with Buffalo and Houston, you might remember, and signed as a free agent. 3rd down, 2 to go for the Cowboys. A key play for Dallas now. As there goes Pearson wide left, setting up a slot back for Golden Richards. The backs are in the I formation. Newhouse fronting Pearson, and now they split off to a setback. In motion comes Pearson to balance off the receiving core. A flag thrown as Staubach goes back, and then we'll see what's called up front.
I think we've got a procedure penalty coming up against Dallas now. Staubach, as Don said, was going back to pass. We've seen him hit Golden Richards, Drew Pearson, of course, with a touchdown pass, and Gene Fugit. So we might keep our eye on Robert Newhouse here, Don, again, sliding out of the backfield. Obvious passing situation now if the Rams elect to accept the penalty.
That's illegal procedure against Dallas. Was illegal procedure against Dallas, the same thing, which negated a first down for the Rams eventually, and now we'll see whether it hurts Dallas in the same score. Ralph Neely was the man who moved illegally. Steve Priest comes in for a fifth defensive back, expecting Staubach to throw now. He could have kept them guessing at 3rd and 2, but now they look for him to go to the air to a shotgun. 3rd down, 7 to go from the Ram 26-yard line. As Staubach has the ball, he's back to pass. Throws, caught by Pearson at the 15. He's got a first down at the 11-yard line. Pearson taking the pass from Staubach. Defending against the reception on the play. That time was Rod Perry in there in that defensive backfield. Actually, he was a 6th defensive back in there. They still could not cover Pearson on that pass out to the right sideline. So it's 1st and 10 for Dallas now at the Rams' 10-yard line.
And Don, it was a shoestring catch there by Pearson over in the right flat. Actually, a pretty good job by Staubach to get that ball away because Al Collins was rushing through there and actually hanging on as Rogers threw the ball to Pearson.
Here's Staubach now, 1st and 10 at the 10-yard line. Calling signals, puts his backs in an I formation. The handoff is given to Dennison, and Dennison gets down to about the 8.5 or 9-yard line. He'll have to go to a goal situation here. That advanced yard marker is right on the goal line itself, which means they cannot pick up a first down at, say, the 1-foot line. Isaiah Robertson was the man who stopped that play, 1.5 yards from the point at which it started. It'll be 2nd down, 8.5 to go for a touchdown for Dallas. Jack Youngblood, who's come back in, he was limping a moment ago. He's okay. He's back into the action. 2nd down at the 8.5-yard line. Receivers coming right this time are Pearson, along with Golden Richards, slotting to the left to the right side. Pearson, along with Newhouse, the running back. Ball given to Newhouse, and Robert Powell's past the 5 down to the 4-yard line. He gains about 4.5 yards on the play before he stopped. That'll bring up 3rd down and goal to go for the Cowboys. Youngblood, along with Dave Elmendorf, making the stop that time. The Rams running out of defensive room to cover down there, as they have their back to the wall now on a 3rd and 4. We have 8 minutes and 15 seconds to go. First half in Los Angeles. The Cowboys leading, and they call for a timeout ahead 7-0 here. They want to talk over some strategies with the Roger Staubach and Tom Landry. We've got a timeout on the field. The score to repeat. Dallas 7, Los Angeles nothing.
Right now, let's look at some individual stats from the Oakland and Pittsburgh game in the first down category. Oakland had 18 first downs to Pittsburgh 16. Oakland totally outplayed Pittsburgh on the field. However, the final score counts on the scoreboard. In the rushing department, Oakland rushed for 130 yards on 32 carries. Pittsburgh had 117 yards on 39 carries. In the passing department, Oakland passed for 228 yards, Pittsburgh for 215. Oakland passed 42 times. They completed 18, had 2 intercepted. Pittsburgh threw 25 passes. Bradshaw completed 15 and had 3 intercepted. In the return yardage category, Oakland returned the ball for 90 yards, Pittsburgh for 121. In the punting category, Oakland punted 8 times for 37.8, and Pittsburgh punted 4 times for 38.5.
8 minutes, 14 seconds left to go in the first half. Ladies and gentlemen, Dallas on top by a score of 7-0. 18-yard touchdown pass from Roger Staubach to Preston Pearson following a D.D. Lewis interception. That's been it. The Rams have had 1 field goal block. They missed another try by Tom Dempsey. And, Don, this has been a most impressive drive by the Cowboys. They've taken it down from their own 24-yard line following that missed field goal try by Dempsey. And, you know, the 91,000 here at the Coliseum, obviously partisan Rams fans, very exuberant at the start, and now are somewhat numb in their seats. And Don Shula, the head coach at Miami, says that's the best way for a visiting team to quiet a home crowd with a long drive like this, and it's exactly what Dallas has done.
Here are the Cowboys now at the 4-yard line of the Rams. Wide right is Jesse going back to pass Staubach, going to and it is caught for a touchdown right down the middle. The pass thrown and complete that time to Golden Richards. Richards was isolated by himself in the end zone. There was no one near him. As the others went wide, taking the cornerbacks with them, and over the middle went Richards for a pass from Staubach. Good from 4 yards out. And the Cowboys lead it 13-0. Tony Fritsch is in to attempt the conversion. That is certainly justification for Richards. Remember, it was he who caught the 42-yard pass that opened up that drive for the Cowboys, and he gets the scoring touchdown. And now Fritsch is ready. Charlie Waters is holding, waiting for the snap. The ball placed down and kicked, and that one is good. And the Cowboys have a 14-0 lead with the touchdown, 4-yard scoring pass from Staubach. Complete that time to go to Richards. Now here from the Los Angeles Coliseum, let's pause 5 seconds for stations to identify themselves, this being the CBS Radio Network. This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Back at the Coliseum, Dallas on top 14-0. And Don, we're looking at the number 2 overall defense in the NFC. The LA Rams being blitzed pretty good here by Roger Staubach so far. He's 6 out of 11 for 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Rams overall have been averaging about 127 yards giving up in terms of passing. So Roger using all of his receivers, hitting Golden Richards for 1 score, also Preston Pearson for another, but also throwing the ball to Gene Puget using all the receivers, able to move right down the field here. It's a 14-0 game. The Rams will have to get a couple of points here before the end of the first half.
Here's Fritsch kicking off, coming down to Willie McGee and Coley Bryant. He's got it. Bryant has it the 15 of the 20, the 25 through the middle, plus the tackle the 30, and gets up to the 36-7-yard line. As Tony Fritsch kicked, taken that time by Coley Bryant. He ran it back to the 36-yard line, about 21 yards. It'll be first down and 10 to go for the Rams, now at their 36-yard line. Thomas Henderson making the stop on the run back. And it is Henderson who is hurt on the play. It'll be first down and 10 to go for the Rams from that spot. You mentioned this crowd again of 91,000, the biggest crowd to watch a postseason pro football game, surpassing the Super Bowl crowd here in Los Angeles a few years back. But it, too, this crowd record, too, will be broken next year when the Super Bowl is played a few miles over to the east in Pasadena, where there, of course, they'll probably seat some 105,000 for the Super Bowl.
Well, this is a prelude to Super Bowl 10, and whoever wins here, as you know, will be in the running for this year's Super Bowl honors. Their opponent, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who defeated Oakland this afternoon, 16-10. And, of course, CBS has a whole pageant for you this year, with Win Elliott bringing you 28 special broadcasts leading up to that great event. Then for the Super Bowl itself, Ed Ingles and I will be there with full live coverage. It's all yours on Saturday and Sunday. That's January the 17th and 18th over most of these CBS Radio Network stations. Now, the Rams are finding themselves in a position that they put the St. Louis Cardinals in, that of trailing very early in the ballgame. They're down 14-0 now. They opened up with their starting quarterback, James Harris, 1 incompleted pass, 1 interception, and they've done very little offensively. Jaworski's been able to get them down within field goal range. 1 has been blocked, the other has been missed, and the Rams have been stymied offensively, and they must wonder what's going on here. They find themselves 14-zip with 8 minutes to go here in the first half.
Jim, actually, in contrast to last week, when on their first possession, they went 79 yards and scored against St. Louis, and sometimes that kind of early momentum can just have a good carryover effect for you. But the Rams, the first time they got the ball today, they were held to a -5, and they had to punt their first time. They were intercepted the second time, punted the third, and then the 2 missed field goal tries. So we'll see how they make out this time. Now trailing 14-0 from their 36-yard line. Jaworski ready, hands off the tailback, and he's nailed as he came through Bryant. He's hit there by Jethro Pugh. Jethro, who's been playing pro football for 11 years, and will still tell you he doesn't feel he's reached his peak yet. 250-pounder from Elizabeth City State. He makes the stop that time. Loss of a couple of yards for Cullen Bryant coming out of the I formation. The Rams have been shifting out of that I to a setback. And that time stayed in it. Working from that, we'll see what they do this time. Coming wide left this time is Harold Jackson. Out right is Ron Jesse. They shift out of the I. McCutcheon goes right, and coming left is Rob Scribner, the messenger with Bryant. And Jaworski has the ball, going back to pass. Gets it off to the left flat, incomplete, and for Scribner. Throwing to the flat on the near side, covered closely by Cal Pearson, who's in there as a reserve linebacker now. And that'll make it third down, and about 12 to go, almost 12 to go for the Rams, who just cannot get their offense moving. They have a 5-4 edge, incidentally, over the Cowboys. in playoff competition, including the 1970 playoff bowl in Miami. They have a 5-4 edge in all regular season and postseason action against these Cowboys, who would like to even it up at 5 apiece. The trend in that direction right now. Midway through the second quarter, Dallas 14, Los Angeles nothing. Third down and about 12 to go for the Rams. Out of the I formation, Jackson is out left and Jesse out right. Here's Jaworski going back to pass. Looks downfield, has good protection. Throws one 45, 50 yards to Jackson. And incomplete. He almost had it. Harris was covering him. It is incomplete. Jackson yelling that he was interfered with. But the officials keep their flags in their pocket. The play goes, and we have a 4th down and 12. As Jaworski uncorked a 50-yard pass that time. Throwing to Harold Jackson, the #1 Ram receiver of the year. He had his hands on it, but couldn't hold it. Cliff Harris defending against him.
Good play that time by Harris, Don. He had the inside on Jackson. The ball was underthrown, and now Jackson starts to come back for it. Harris just grabs his right arm and then knocks the ball down. Of course, to the fans, it looked like interference. Actually, a great play by Harris back there.
Rams are punting for the 3rd time in 6 possessions now after going -2 on that drive. And back to receive, going to Richards, a single receiver. Here's the kick on its way. Coming downfield to Richards at the 30. He drops it, picks it up, and is hit immediately at the 31-yard line. So that kick from the 34 down to the 30 is good for 36 yards. Jim Youngblood was the man who stopped the run back after Scribner had taken some return time away from himself by fumbling the reception. And there to be 1st down and 10 to go at the 31. Credit Rob with a 1-yard return.
And you have to wonder with a 14-0 game now just what effect the score is having on the Los Angeles Rams offense as far as what they're going to do to get away from their game plan. Obviously, they came in with the idea they'd be able to run against this doomsday defense a bit. Send McCutcheon left, McCutcheon right with Bryant doing some of the blocking. Now trailing, they've had to go to the passing game, and so far it's been totally ineffective.
Richards wide to the right side, coming out left. Drew Pearson now moves in motion, tightening up the receivers. The flip back this side of Pearson, and Pearson is down behind the line of scrimmage. That was Isaiah Robertson, who was keying evidently on Pearson as Pearson came out of the eye and took a pitch from the quarterback Staubach, and down he goes. Incidentally, Staubach broke his own club record for pass completions this year. He connected on 198 passes, and that topped the mark of 190 he himself set last year. Roger completed at an efficiency rate of 57% this year against 53% last season. He would have a shot at Don Meredith's Dallas record if he hadn't been sidelined for that season finale against the Jets. And here we go again as Staubach is ready on a 2nd down and 12 after Pearson was hit. The pass ball incomplete. Sent on the near side that time for Drew Pearson. Well, I tell you, these Rams, they owed a debt of gratitude to Drew Pearson and Roger Staubach for their last-second heroics of a week ago. Otherwise, Jim, we're told that we would be in temperatures of -3. How did you have your long underwear all set?
I was all packed. There was a big change in travel plans with that touchdown pass, I'll tell you that. 3 degrees in Bloomington, Minnesota this afternoon. Not exactly a heat wave. We were there a year ago. It was 32 and beautiful, but
3rd down, 12 to go. Staubach into a shotgun now. He moves Pearson over into a slot to the left. He's going back to pass. Retreats out of the pocket now, comes out of it. He's running it. He's got long yardage. He's up to the 35-yard line, and down he goes, short by about 5 or 6 yards. Ken Geddes came up to stop him. After Staubach did not like the way his receivers were set up downfield, he elected to run it out of there and takes it out of the 35 before he stopped. He was tackled on the play, that time at the 35-yard line by Geddes, and in the kick comes Mitch Hoop.
Set me down, but I really think that's the first time that Staubach has had to scramble now. That's right. Otherwise, he's been able to find his receivers. Chuck Knox said coming in here that actually Staubach is a 3-dimensional quarterback. We know, of course, he can pass. He's capable of running, but when he's most dangerous is when he starts to scramble, because at that time the linebackers have to come up. The safety men don't know what he's going to do, and that's when the receivers get free for those long gains. 6:05 to go. Dallas on top, 14-0. They've got a punt.
Cowboys were offside in that play, declined by the Rams, of course, to force the 4th down. Rob Scribner is back to receive the kick from Hoop. He's going to take it to the 22-yard line with some running room, but down he goes at the 22. So that kick from Hoop to 43 yards that time is well covered at the 22, and there the Rams will have it again, 1st down and 10 to go. The tackle, Benny Barnes from Stanford, was down to make the stop on the run back, and we have a 1st and 10 for the Rams now at the Los Angeles 23-yard line.
You spot those Stanford players real quick, don't you?
Well, they're all over that Dallas board. Blaine Nye is in there, of course. Scott Laidlaw out injured.
Well, the Polish rifle's still in there. Let's see what he can get going now offensively.
Here once again now. Here comes the Rams up the line of scrimmage with only 5 minutes, about 6 minutes left to go in the quarter, and they haven't scored yet, trailing 14-0. Ron Jaworski, the quarterback, fakes off to McCutcheon, goes back to pass, throws over the middle, incomplete, grounded at the feet of Colin Bryant, the intended receiver.
And Jaworski is slow in getting up there. I think he took a pretty good hit from Jethro Pugh or Larry Cole. And that was the first bad pass that Ron's thrown so far this afternoon. Clock stop now at 5 minutes and 52 seconds to go. And again, it looks a little bit like the Rams have been forced to get away from that game plan. Jaworski now 5 out of 10 in the passing department for a total of 82 yards and 1 sack when he was caught back there for a loss of 12 yards. So second down, 10 yards to go for the Rams. They trail it by 14 points. They're at their own 23.
Here comes Harold Jackson out the left side, and Ron Jesse goes out right now. Jaworski has the running backs McCutcheon and Scribner in behind him in the eye. They shipped out of that to setbacks behind him. Here's Jaworski in a draw through the middle. Goes McCutcheon, and he carries it up to about the 25-yard line. He's hit by Jethro Pugh. Fumbled that ball. Might have come up with it. That was John Williams falling on it from Minnesota. Third-year starting tackle for the Rams. Recovered the fumble as McCutcheon dropped it. And that'll make it third down and about 9 to go. Long yardage against the Rams.
All right, now we've seen both Jaworski and Harris try to hit Jackson long on the bomb. We've not seen them go to Ron Jesse, 81. Let's keep your eye over there on the right side. The man who came over from the Detroit Lions. Also, the tight end has been used, but once that's Terry Nelson. Obvious passing situation. Sometimes the obvious is too obvious, though.
Jackson comes to the left and Jesse out to the right. Dallas plugging its linebackers up tight now as Jaworski going back to pass. Throws one 35 yards, and it is caught and dropped. Incomplete. He almost had it. Downfield was Terry Nelson, to whom they're throwing a lot more today than they have in their past in their playbook. Terry Nelson, for the third time an intended receiver today. He had that ball. Defending against him was Randy Hughes as a fifth defensive back for the Cowboys. And it is incomplete. That'll make it fourth down and 9 to go. So the Rams are forced to kick once again. This will be the fourth time that Dwayne Carroll has punted, and this being the 7th possession for the Rams today.
Actually, Don Nelson had that ball down on his own 30-yard line. Hughes just tore it out of his arm.
Golden Richards goes back now as a single receiver. The snapback, flags are thrown. Dallas might have been offside. Here's the kick coming down to a fair catch by Richards at the 45-yard line. That was a 31-yard kick. Dallas might have been offside. It would not change the fourth down situation, but would give the Rams better field position for punting. That's what it is, offside against Dallas. It'll make it fourth down and now about 4 to go. That was a 4th and 9 situation a moment ago. The clock now shows 4 minutes and 55 seconds remaining here in Los Angeles in the first half. And the score is Dallas 14, the Rams nothing, thanks to an 18-yard scoring pass from Staubach to Preston Pearson. 8 minutes to go in the first quarter, and then a 4-yard scoring pass from Staubach to Golden Richards, capping off a 76-yard drive in which the key play was a 42-yard pass to Golden Richards. Fourth down now and about 4 to go for the Rams, and back to punt again is Dwayne Carroll. Back to receive Golden Richards. Waiting for the snap is Carroll. Dwayne, a second-year man, averaged about 40 yards a kick this year. To rush on, he gets his kick high into the air. A beauty, well covered for Richards at the 32. There it's taken, so the Rams gained some field position against Dallas in the penalty, and that was a 44-yard kicking effort by Dwayne Carroll. First down, 10 to go for Dallas now at the Cowboys' about the 33-yard line.
And a little extracurricular activity down there. Steve Priest of the Rams and Randy Hughes, bumping at each other. A little late hit, but the referee stepped in between them. 4:47 to go. Here's Dallas again. Now, what do you do if you're Tom Landry at this point? You've got a 14-0 lead. You try to open it up, get down in field goal range down, or you play conservative, try to leave at halftime 14-0.
Here's Richards in motion wide to the right, going back to pass. Staubach throws it. It's complete on the right, in the left flat. That time to Pearson. He's up to the 40, up to about the 45-yard line. He gains about 11 or 12 yards. Simpson covering on the play. Well, Jim Landry has so much versatility in his offense he keeps you guessing. You just can't imagine with this kind of momentum that he would play it too conservatively. I think the more he can keep this momentum going, he'll keep trying.
And, of course, he's got a hot quarterback now in Roger Staubach with 2 touchdown passes, and he's been able to pick that secondary apart so far.
First and 10 at the 45-yard line for Dallas now. As Staubach once again ready, hands it off, this time giving it to Dennison, and Dennison gets up to about the 47-yard line for a gain of 2. Remember, Dallas is up against a team in the Rams who have yielded only 15 touchdowns all year long, and only 3 during the closing 6-game win streak of the Rams. And here they know they have gone over that goal line twice already today, when the Rams yielded just a little over 1 touchdown per game all season long. Richards coming wide right. Now to the left side goes Drew Pearson. Running backs in the eye. Newhouse up front. The ball given to Robert. He drives over the left side into Ram territory by a step or 2, and he's hit down at the 48-yard line. As a matter of fact, the Rams gave up only 135 points this year. That was the fewest in the entire league, and the second lowest ever for a 14-game schedule. Those statistics, of course, Jim, in a game like this, Dallas pays no attention at all, and there's their ball game so far in the first 27 minutes of it. We have 3 minutes to go in the first half, and the score is 14-0 for the Cowboys.
You've got to wonder, too, what the Cowboys might have seen in the game films last week against St. Louis, because even though they were never in the game score-wise, Jimmy Hart was able to pass against the Rams.
Here's Staubach rolling out of the pocket right. He's going to run it. He's past the 45. He's down to the 40. He's down to the 39 for a first down. As Roger Staubach runs that ball. That time he was not scrambling, as Roger will line up in that formation of his, and he'll have a run by design, and that's what that appeared to be as he rolled out right away. He wasn't looking for receivers. Came down to the 39-yard line, and on the ground now with the Rams, Jack Youngblood, the second time that Jack has been hurt today, and this one looks to be possibly more severe than was the limp with which he came off the field a moment ago. He's still in the grass down there. It'll be first down and 10 to go for Dallas, operating from its 33-yard line at the start of this drive, and they have now moved the ball 27 yards to the 40, where it's first down and 10 to go for the Cowboys.
Looks down like it's Youngblood's right leg there. Rayfield Wright, Gene Fugit doing the blocking there. It looked like Wright got a piece of him, a clean block, but then Youngblood turned it upfield, tried to get Staubach from behind. Looked like he just pulled the same muscle he limped off on a while ago. 2 minutes, 40 seconds to go here in the first half. Cowboys on top 14-0, and Youngblood now will limp off. Freddie Dreyer helps him off. And it looks like Al Cowing, number 70, checks back into the lineup there on the left side. Youngblood, of course, the man who picked off that Hart pass last week and rambled 47 yards with a touchdown. So they'll miss him over on the left-hand side.
And here are the Cowboys ready now. First down and 10 to go. Wide left goes Drew Pearson, setting up a slot back formation for Golden Richards there. The running backs come out of the split and go into the I formation. The handoff to the tailback is fake. Staubach back to pass. Throws it complete now to Pearson. And Pearson is down to the 24-yard line where he's hit. Pearson came out of that I formation that time with a play-action fake from Staubach and then ran straight down the middle, and he was the hot receiver. He took the pass from Staubach. Jack Reynolds hit him, and there's a gain to the 24-yard line for a first down again. As Dallas moves now to scoring position again against these Rams at the 24-yard line, and there is the 2-minute warning to the benches. Though the clock is stopped here, a timeout on the field with the score. Dallas 14, Los Angeles nothing.
Buffalo winger Rick Martin believes his Sabres broke the machine-like precision of the touring Soviet Wings hockey team because they had more heart. Martin had all the heart and a hard slap shot Sunday as the Sabres routed the Wings of Moscow 12-6 to become the first National Hockey League club to defeat a Russian team in the 8-game series. They learned to skate, they take aptitude tests, they learn how to play like machines, said Martin of the Soviet style of hockey. Then to 18 he say, let's put a heart in you. But that's something you're born with. Martin scored 2 goals and assisted on 3 others in the victory as the Sabres scored the most goals by a North American team against the Russians since the 1972 series between the Soviets and Team Canada. The victory for the Sabres was a vindication for the NHL. Pittsburgh Penguins had already lost to the Wings, and the New York Rangers had lost to the Soviet champion Army team in this exhibition series, while the Montreal Canadiens managed only a 3-3 tie against the Army squad.
2 2 minutes to go in the Coliseum here in Los Angeles. First half action, the NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Cowboys. Dallas on top 14-0 after a 2-play absence. Jack Youngblood, 85, checks back in there. Of course, he's missed on the pass rush. Freddie Dreyer, 89, coming in from the right side. Youngblood from the left side. And they're the men that have to penetrate. But so far today, by that offensive line of the Cowboys, of Neely, Burton Wallace, the rookie, John Fitzgerald, Blaine Nye, and Rayfield Wright have been holding them out pretty good. And Staubach with the 2 touchdown passes has put his Cowboys up 14-0. 2 minutes to go. They'd like to score again.
First and 10 now for Dallas at the Rams' 24-yard line as Staubach drops back to pass. Looks down toward the goal line. Is being rushed. Comes out of the pocket. He escapes the rush. He's running now. The 25 to 20. Out of bounds at about the 18-yard line for a 6-yard gain.
Well, I'll tell you, Don, Burton Wallace there threw the big block to string Staubach around. Cody Jones was all set to wrap Roger up and hit him pretty good. And Wallace just cut him down, and that got Staubach over there around the left side.
Staubach got down to the 18-yard line. Gained 6 in the play. Makes it 2nd down and 4. And by going out of bounds, he stopped the clock on a play which consumed only 9 seconds. And Dallas has 2 times out remaining if they care to use them. So the clock actually on this particular drive is no factor at the moment. They have now moved from their 33-yard line of this drive down to the 18, a distance of 49 yards. There goes Pearson out, Dennison in. Tom Landry sets the offensive strategy from the sideline. There goes Richards wide left, and coming out right is Drew Pearson. Roger Staubach is ready. Looks over a 5-man front for the Rams. Dennison splits off left. Newhouse right. Setbacks. There goes Pearson in motion. Staubach goes back to pass. Throws his pass. It's caught at the 15-yard line by Gene Puget. And Puget is down at about the 15-yard line. Bill Simpson was the man who stopped him short of a first down by a yard. Gain of 3 yards makes it 3rd down and a yard to go. The clock moving now with 1 minute and 25 seconds to go in this first half. Dallas content to let it keep running for the moment. 3rd and 1 at the Rams' 15-yard line. 1 minute, 15 seconds remain. Puget has come out now, and Billy Joe Dupree. Puget stays in. 2 tight ends are in there now. The lone wide receiver is Drew Pearson. Set up behind Staubach. Pearson and Newhouse. Staubach goes back to pass. Looks toward the end zone. Throwing to Pearson. He caught it with a leaping catch. Touchdown, Dallas. Drew Pearson with a leaping catch. Getting beyond Ken Geddes by a step. And Staubach lofting the pass. Perfectly thrown into the end zone about halfway between the end zone line and the goal line, and the touchdown gives Dallas a 20-0 lead. Tony Fritsch is in to kick for the Cowboys. And it'll be a shaken-up Ram team that heads for the dressing room in about 54 seconds. Here's Charlie Waters holding, and Tony Fritsch is kicking for the Cowboys. An early rush by the Rams, it appeared to be here, and the flags are thrown on the play. So 3 touchdown passes for Roger Staubach. 18 yards to Preston Pearson in the first quarter. A 4-yard toss to Golden Richards about midway through this second period. And now in the closing 54 seconds of the first half, the 3rd touchdown pass of the day for Roger Staubach. That's what you want to do, is isolate that back coming out of the backfield. That's exactly what Staubach was able to do. He got Pearson free against Ken Geddes over there. Terrific catch by Pearson, his 2nd touchdown of the day. And the Rams are in trouble. Their backs are up against it now, 20-0. The kick coming up with 54 seconds left to go. So Staubach hitting for 3 touchdown passes early in the first half. And you know, Don, earlier in the week, one of the reporters asked Tom Landry if he was an emotional man. We can't see him from up here, but I would have to think that his face cracked just a little bit with this 21-0 lead now. Smile must be on his face. There's Fritsch's conversion to make it 21-0, and the Cowboys lead the Rams 21-0. A much more decisive advantage even than they enjoyed in the first game this year when they beat Dallas 18-7 down in Dallas on those 4 field goals by Fritsch and Doug Dennison's 1-yard touchdown run. The Rams are going to have to regroup their forces, both defensively and offensively. You know, when the season started, Tom Landry would have been the first to admit that he was concerned about Dallas's defense. The Cowboys did allow the most points since 1969, 268 to be exact. They had 5 new starters in there. But they have grown and matured, obviously, by the 14-game regular season. And Tom, just the other day at the press conference, said to him, the key of this ball game would be how the Dallas defense operated against the Rams. He's had his answer, and very satisfactorily in this first half.
Well, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Cowboys. They're about to build them way right into the Super Bowl.
Willie McGee and Cully Bryant back to take the kick from French. It's grabbed by McGee at the goal line. He comes up the middle of the 10, stays in the middle of the 20, now cuts to his right, out to the 25, and down he goes on a 25-yard return. Willie McGee making his first and 10 for the Rams. In case you just joined us, here are their drive distances so far against this Cowboy defense of which I was just speaking. They went -5 the first time, -1 the second, 2 yards the third time they had the ball. Then they put together their longest drives, 32 and 44 yards, both times ending up with missed field goals. The next time, the 6th possession, they went a -2, and the 7th time they had the ball, they went 5. They have had to punt 4 times, the 2 missed field goals, and the 1 intercepted pass, which eventually led to the first scoring play for Dallas. Here now with a 3-man front, Dallas lines up with 5 backs, defensive backs, looking for Jaworski to go to the air. First and 10 of the 26-yard line. As Ron drops back in the pocket, stays in there to throw a long one about 40 yards down to the 40. It's going to be intercepted. Taken back there at the 35-yard line by Cliff Harris. He's back to the 40, and down dodges a man, and down he goes at about the 44. He got to the 45-yard line, stopped, and was hit at that point. Dallas has the ball. Conceivably, they could move in these last 32 seconds. They have times out remaining. Tom Mack was the man who stopped the interception run back that time by Cliff Harris.
Okay, now here's where Jaworski's inexperience probably has hurt them. With 46 seconds to go, lots of time remaining. He went for the deep bomb right away rather than go to the little sideline panners, the outs, or throwing short over the middle to his back. He went for the bomb, and it hurt him. He was picked off there right away. Strawback in passing 10 out of 16 for 149 yards with 1 interception, but the big figure there, of course, 3 touchdowns. Jaworski 5 out of 12 for 82 yards, and the interception there by Dallas.
Here we go as Dallas has the ball at the 44, and they'd like to do some more scoring before this half is over. Back to pass goes Staubach. A flag has been thrown. The pass down is incomplete, intended for James Nugent down there at about the 13-yard line. There's a holding penalty being called against Dallas, and that'll take them back into Cowboy territory. Is stopped now with 26 seconds remaining in this first half of action. In contrast to the Rams' ineffective offense, the Cowboys, in case you just joined us, have taken drives of 76 and 67 yards to scoring plays, plus the interception by D.D. Lewis at the Rams' 18. They took that one in too. But their three scoring drives have gone first the 18 yards, then 76 and 67 yards against the number 2 defensive team in the conference in these Los Angeles Rams. It's first and 20 now on the 10-yard holding assessment back to the Dallas 47. The handoff is given this time to Robert Newhouse, and he carries it up past the midfield stripe and down to about the 46-yard line before Cody Jones stops him. Dallas letting the clock run, you'll note. They could stop it. They have 2 times out, and now it appears they will do so, stopping the clock with 12 seconds remaining in the first half.
Well, we talked earlier about the Rams falling behind and what that has done to their game plan. Probably one of the most amazing statistics we have down. McCutcheon, a total of 8 carries, but he's gained just 11 yards. So it's been that doomsday defense that's been able to contain both the passing of James Harris and also Ron Jaworski, and the fact that the Rams have had to go away from their rushing game. The Rams offensively came in here 5th overall, 3rd in rushing, totaling better than 169 yards per game, 7th in passing. Of course, they've been relying on their defense, and that defense so far in the first half has been picked apart by the passing of Roger Staubach. So they'll go in and regroup at halftime. Chuck Knox has an amazing record, 19 out of 21 in regular season games, victorious here at the Coliseum. So he's going to have to make some adjustments at halftime and get the Rams back into this ball game. He said for them to win here today that they would have to play their finest game that they've played under Chuck Knox since he's been here in 3 years, and he termed this, as far as he was concerned personally, his most important game in 3 years.
And you know, the interesting thing about McCutcheon. He comes into this game off his great performance against the Cards when he rushed for 202 yards, an all-time NFC playoff record, and how that Dallas defense has slowed him up today. Here we go, 2nd and 12 for the Cowboys now. The Rams 46, bad snap from center of the shotgun, and Staubach has to defend the ball by falling on it back at the 43 to protect it, as that will take them back. The clock running now stopped with 8 seconds at the 43-yard line, as a low snap from center, and Staubach couldn't handle it.
Well, that's a sight familiar to those of us who watched that game last week in Bloomington, Minnesota. In that last drive that the Cowboys put together there, Staubach and Fitzgerald having trouble getting together on the snap when they went to the shotgun formation. But, of course, all that was forgiven and forgotten after that 50-yard touchdown pass to Preston Pearson.
And as the Cowboys let the clock run, it goes down, and the guns down, sending the first half before a very disappointed Los Angeles crowd here at the Coliseum. As you can hear in the background, the halftime score, the Cowboys 21 and the Rams nothing.
Of course, 3 big touchdowns. Well, you can hear from the roar that the Rams are coming back onto the Coliseum floor. The Dallas Cowboys will be out in just a moment. Don Klein will be back to call the play-by-play for us. We'll be back with a kickoff in the second half action from the Coliseum in just a moment. Don, we're all set for the second half. The Rams are down by 21 points. They've gone away from their game plan. McCutcheon, 11 yards and 8 carries. Obviously, he has not been a factor. It would be interesting to know whether James Harris took himself out in that first quarter after suffering that interception, as he did in the Green Bay game, or whether Chuck Knox just decided the offense was doing nothing with Harris at the helm, and he decided to put Jaworski in there to try to give his team a lift.
Perhaps his arm, as you mentioned, Jim, might have been bothering him a little bit, but at any rate, it's Jaworski's ball game now to try to bring these Rams back in, and you have the feeling that the Rams will have to break from the gate in a hurry in this second half to get some momentum going. They're trailing 21-0 as we start the second half of play here at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Ready to kick off is Tony French. Back to receive for the Rams are Cooley Bryant and Willie McGee. And we're all set in the crowd trying to root these Rams back into the ball game. Rams held, as Jim mentioned earlier, to 87 yards in the first half, compared to 240 for the leading Rams. Here's French's kick, coming a little short, coming up to get it. McGee takes it at the 8-yard line. Comes off to his left at the 15 to 20. Gets a block at the 25, and down he goes at the 29-yard line. So McGee will start the Rams in business at their own 29-yard line. First down and 10 to go. The stop of the run back by Benny Barnes. One of 3 of those Stanford Cards playing on this team. Benny Barnes, along with Blaine Nye and Pat Donovan. First and 10 now for the Rams at the 29-yard line, and Ron Jaworski is your quarterback. The running backs to be Cullen Bryant and Lawrence McCutcheon. They operate out of the I formation. Here's Harold Jackson and Ron Jessier, wide receivers, left and right, respectively. The Rams break out of that I, and the lone remaining back now is McCutcheon. Our short slot left is Bryant. The pass from Jaworski is thrown to Jesse, and he's out of bounds up around the 35-yard line. Ron Jesse takes it out for a gain of 6 yards on the first play of the second half. Los Angeles starting from its 29-yard line.
And when you wonder what it was that Chuck Knox said to his club at the end of the first half, you've also got to assume that Tom Landry has given his club quite a pep talk there in the Dallas side. They don't want any kind of a letdown at this point. It's easy to sit back and say, well, we've got a 21-0 lead, but the things could turn around very quickly, and that's exactly what Landry wants the defense against here.
Mark Washington took Jesse out of bounds on that last play, and it's now second down and about 4 to go for the Rams from their 35. The handoff is given. This time coming out of that hole, Lawrence McCutcheon, and he's hit to the turf immediately by Harvey Martin. Defensive right end for the Cowboys, who nailed him as he came on running against the grain on a crossbuck, and he's hit at the 31-yard line for a loss of 4. That'll make it now third down and about 9 to go for the Rams at their 31-yard line. 3rd and 9 at the 31. We're just starting the second half here at the Los Angeles Coliseum. The sun beaming down out of a cloudless sky. A perfect day for football here in Southern California. Again, the Rams are ready. Perfect and everything but for these fans, the way this ball game is going. And here's Jaworski all set to try to get things turned around. He's back to pass. Good protection. Throws his pass up to midfield, incomplete. The intended receiver was Ron Jesse, and he was double-teamed over there by the Cowboys. On the left side by Mark Washington, the left cornerback. And that'll make it now, along with Charlie Waters, and that'll make it a 4th down. And the Rams are forced to kick on their first possession of the second half. Dwayne Carroll in the punt. Going to his wave by the Dallas Cowboys earlier in the year and claimed by the Rams, and back to receive is Golden Richards from the 31-yard line. Carroll waiting for the snap. He kicked 4 times in the first half. The snap back takes on the bounce. He gets his kick away. A nice punt. Richards chased back to the 23-yard line, brings it back to the 30, and down he goes at the 32-yard line. That was a 46-yard punt by Carroll that time, and Rick Kay, reserve tight end for the Rams on the special team, made the stop of the run back of Richards at the 31. A run back on the play of just about 8 yards. It'll be 1st and 10 for Dallas. That's the Cowboys' 31-yard line in their first possession of the third quarter.
As far as first downs are concerned, Dallas, as you might expect, way out in front. A total of 11 first downs for the Cowboys, only 3 for the Los Angeles Rams. And now Golden Richards down on the field. They look like they're working on his right ankle there. So we'll have a brief delay. Regardless of how this game ends up, we should point out that both clubs have an exceptionally bright future, Don. Both are very young clubs to be in this NFC Championship game. 27 out of 43 of the Cowboys have 4 years or less experience, and just about the same is true of the L.A. Rams. 20 out of 43 of their players also with 4 years or less. We mentioned that there were 6 Ram rookies on this Chuck Knox club. Of those, only Monty Jackson has earned a starting berth. And the 11 Cowboys that, of course, we talked about with Mr. Tex Schramm at halftime, Burton Lawless starting on the offensive line for the Cowboys.
Matter of fact, that's one point, Jim, that Tom Landry mentioned. He says he's had a lot of fun coaching this team this year. A lot of these rookies who came into camp and losing fellows like Lilly, that kind of veteran who has carried this ball club for all these many years, and now he's faced with rebuilding, as you mentioned, and he's really enjoyed it. The rookies came into camp with a great deal of enthusiasm, and Tom said that it was their picking up the veterans who were worried, obviously, in losing some of the veterans who have made this team through 16 years. And Tom said it was the best training camp that Dallas had ever enjoyed right here in Southern California. And certainly it has paid off the way this team has come through to become the first wild card team to make the championship game since the 71 campaign of the Baltimore Colts. And as it now appears that the trend, which is very clear-cut here in the Coliseum, continues, the Cowboys would, of course, be on their way to the Super Bowl. However, Golden Richards, and this could be very important in the Dallas scheme of things, one of their key receivers, of course, Golden Richards, who is a punt return specialist. He is hobbling off the field and would appear to be doubtful whether or not he would get back in. He was on the turf there and aided before being taken off in his hobbling.
And, of course, in addition to being a punt return specialist, he's also one of the wide receivers for the Cowboys. And he had a total of 46 yards in the reception department in that first half and 1 touchdown from Roger Staubach.
Percy Howard, who is signed as a free agent, a rookie, is in there as one of the young players to replace him. Percy Howard, wide receiver, and now with Drew Pearson are the 2 wide receivers for Dallas, as they'll be in action now from their own 31-yard line. This is Dallas's first possession of the second half. They lead the ball game 21-0. The Los Angeles Coliseum crowd roots its defense on now to try to get that ball back. The Cowboys are
Rams will be kicking off, moving from our left to our right, the Cowboys to receive, and the man to call the play-by-play for you, the sports director at KCBS in San Francisco, Don Klein.
Tom Dempsey set to kick off for the Rams, and back to receive Preston Pearson along with Doug Dennison deep along the goal line, and the NFC Championship game is underway in Los Angeles. The kick is going to be taken by Dennison. He's at the 2-yard line where he gets it to the 15, the 20, stays in the middle and goes up to about the 26-yard line. So Dennison ran that back about 24 yards before he was tackled at the 26-yard line for the Rams. The Cowboys will have it first down and 10 to go at that spot. Dennis Harrah, the rookie offensive lineman playing on the special teams for the Rams, made the tackle. And we're all set for action here at the Coliseum for the first scrimmage play of the afternoon, as Dallas starts the first series from the Cowboy 27-yard line. To the line of scrimmage, Roger Staubach has split back behind him. Newhouse and Pearson, they shift out of that set as they will normally and move Richards in motion through the middle. That time goes Pearson up to about the 28-yard line. That was Fred Dreyer who makes the stop. As Robert Newhouse and Pearson working from a setback position, splitting the backs. They'll shift from that eye to the split back, so that time Newhouse carries up to about the 29-yard line. A gain of 2, 2nd and 8 to go. The tackle made for the Rams on the play by Fred Dreyer. Dreyer along with Cody Jones up front. As here again come the Cowboys of line of scrimmage, 29-yard line. They operate out of that eye now. They shift out of that. Moving in motion comes Golden Richards. As this time the handoff is given, and through the middle again goes Newhouse that time up to about the 31-yard line where Merlin Olsen makes the tackle. The Rams defense digging in tight up front. The Dallas offense, the number 1 team of the NFC this year, averaging 359 yards a game. They're the number 1 rushing team of the conference, averaging about 175, and they're number 3 in passing. And they're running into the number 2 defensive team as far as yardage figures go against the Rams here today. 3rd and long yardage as Richards comes out wide left and Drew Pearson goes right. And into the shotgun formation for the first time today goes Staubach. As the Rams set for the pass, Staubach back, good protection, throws his pass, 20 yards to midfield over the head of Golden Richards, the intended receiver. It's out of bounds, and the Cowboys are forced to give up the ball. Monty Jackson was covering on the play against the reception that time of Golden Richards, and Dallas on its first possession moves that ball about 5 yards and is forced to kick.
Don, if there's a key to the game so far as the Rams are concerned, it would be what Los Angeles can do on first down against the Doomsday defense. If there's a key as far as Dallas is concerned, it's what the Rams will do as far as defensing the shotgun. It looks pretty good, at least on that first series of downs.
Dave Elmendorf, along with Rob Scribner, back to receive. His back to kick is Mitch Hoops, the rookie punter for the Cowboys, who this year has averaged about 39.5 yards per kick. The kick downfield, and coming rather short, fair catch called for the 37 by Elmendorf, and he's got it. First and 10 Rams after a 31-yard punt that time by Hoops, and the Rams have pretty good field position for their first possession of the day. They'll start from their 38-yard line in Los Angeles territory.
Okay, now we should point out the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, Jim Harris. He missed the St. Louis game in Pittsburgh. He took himself out of the Green Bay game after playing just 3 plays with a bad shoulder, but he's getting the starting call here for head coach Chuck Knox.
Rams set up an eye with a slot back formation. Jackson wide, Jesse inside. The backs are Bryant and McCutcheon. McCutcheon the lead man. Stepping out from behind comes Bryant. Calling the signals. Harris has it, gives it off to McCutcheon through the middle, gets up to the 40, to the 41-yard line, where Ed Jones stops him after a gain of about 3 yards. The Rams and the Cowboys here facing their moment of truth now to determine their Super Bowl aspirations. Which team, Los Angeles or Dallas, will face Pittsburgh in Miami 2 weeks from today. The Rams favored by a touchdown, but to accomplish that goal, they'll have to stop the number 1 offense of the NFC, as they did on the first drive of Dallas a moment ago. And they'll have to reverse their performance of 16 weeks ago when they were beaten by the Cowboys 18-7. High formation with a slot out left. They break into a split back behind Harris as James on 2nd and 7. Hands it off to McCutcheon again, and he's knocked down that time by Dave Edwards, the left linebacker. Edwards, who plays the strong side, he'll normally line up against the tight end side. That's Terry Nelson in there for Bob Klein for the Rams. He'll usually key against that strong side. He was there that time as McCutcheon ran to the strong side. A loss on the play of about 4 or 5 yards. Cullen Bryant comes in. Jim, you'll note that Bryant and Scribner will be running back and forth today, carrying plays in from head coach Chuck Knox of the Rams as he shuttles those running backs. McCutcheon, of course, stays in as the Iron Man of the running backs for the Rams. Here's Harris, 3rd and 12 on long yardage. Receivers left and right, Jackson and Jesse. McCutcheon and Bryant are the running backs, and a whistle. There may be a delay of the game against the Rams. Harris looked like he was audibilizing at the line of scrimmage. So that's going to cost Los Angeles 5 more yards and bring up a 3rd and 17 situation. We played just about 3 minutes of the game here in Los Angeles, and for those of you joining us on the radio side today, we wish you could see this stadium. It is a sight to behold, filled to capacity, 91,038 fans. This is the biggest crowd to ever witness a postseason pro football game. The biggest crowd here was for the Super Bowl a few years back here at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Now again, the Rams ready. Third down, 17. They go into a split back. Bryant McCutcheon behind Harris. He fakes out left, hands off on a reverse to McCutcheon, coming to the near side, running out of room and out of bounds at about the 32-yard line. Benny Barnes coming up as a fifth defensive back in there now, as Tom Landry had gone to a fifth defensive back, and Benny Barnes was the man who ran McCutcheon out of bounds at about the 32, 33-yard line. He gained about a yard at most, and his fourth down, and Dwayne Carroll is in to kick. Both he and Hoops averaged 39.5 yards per kick so far this year. The Rams actually started at their 38. They end up at their 33 for a net loss of 5 on their first possession. And here's Carroll set to punt. Back to receive, Golden Richards, a single receiver. Kick on its way from Carroll. Richards takes it to the 31. He gets to the 35 and is hit at the 40-yard line. That was a 36-yard kick. He took it at the 31, ran it back 9 yards. Bob DeMarco, reserve center for the Rams on the special team, made the tackle, and Dallas has possession at its 40-yard line. So the Cowboys have actually picked up about 8 yards on that exchange. They gave up the ball at the 32 when they last punted and now have it at the 40. We've got a timeout on the field below with the score, 0-0 between the Cowboys and the Rams.
Well, during the regular season, the Rams winning the Western Division, they won the thing about midway through the season with weaker Western Division teams like San Francisco, Atlanta, and New Orleans. They won 12 and lost 2, scored 312 points, and they were the best defensive team in the National Football League, allowing but 135 points. On the other hand, Dallas had a fight all the way with St. Louis and Washington before they got a wild card bid. St. Louis won the Eastern Division. Then, of course, as we said, Dallas upset Minnesota last week at Bloomington. So Dallas won 10 games, lost 4. They scored 350 points, which is 38 more than L.A., gave up 268 points. Not too bad as a defensive team, but not like, of course, like the Rams. So today we're going to see Roger Staubach in action in just a few moments as the Dallas Cowboys will be getting the ball, a chance to move against or try to move against that real tough, hard-nosed defensive line of the L.A. Rams.
Cowboys have the ball for the second time today at their 40-yard line as they set up in an I formation. The ball is handled off the tailback, Preston Pearson. He goes through the middle, gets up to about the 42-yard line, gains a couple of yards before Cody Jones, the defensive right tackle, makes the stop. Cody taking over for Larry Brooks, who suffered a knee injury and is out with surgery for the remainder of the year. Matter of fact, as are 5 Ram starters missing from this ball game today. Starters Jim Bertelson, the running back, along with tight end Bob Klein, the 2 cornerbacks, Charlie Stoops, and along with Al Clark, and as I mentioned, the aforementioned Larry Brooks. Here are the Cowboys now at their 43 after a gain of a couple of yards. It's second down and 8. And Staubach sets up in the I formation. Pearson in the tail. Newhouse, the punt man. The pitch this time to Dennison. Dennison was in there for this time for Pearson, and Dennison carries wide right and goes up to about the 48-yard line before he's tackled by Dave Elmendorf, a strong safety stopping him just short of midfield. They'll mark it at the 49-yard line, and that would be a gain of about 6 yards on the play for Doug Dennison, who had come in for Preston Pearson, was operating out of the tail of that I formation. And that'll make it now a third down for the Cowboys. They're a yard short of midfield. They have about 2 to go.
Okay, third down now, third and short. Let's see what they do. We've had one pass so far. That was the one that Staubach tossed away out of bounds. Keep your eye on Newhouse, 44. He comes out of the flat there, just slides out of the backfield. And Staubach might hit him short, might be a run up the middle, Don.
Cowboys bring in 2 tight ends now and work with a wing back right. The running back's in an I formation. The handoff is given, this time to Pearson. Pearson plunges, and he's close to a first down as Cody Jones knocks him down. Pearson dove right at about midfield. He has to get just short of the Rams' 49-yard line. That's about where they're unpiling there right now. As Preston Pearson, a ball carrier. It is short of a first down by about a couple of feet. So Mitch Hoops will come in to punt again. And Dallas moves that ball in a defensive ball game so far on this drive about 9.5 yards. Gets to midfield. And we'll make it now the second punt of the afternoon for Hoops, and back to receive. The single receiver is Rob Scribner.
So again, again, the Ram defense digs in. Don mentioned number 2 in total offense in the NFC. Number 2 against the rush, giving up just about 110 yards a game. Dallas with 3rd and short elected to run with the ball and miss.
Snap back a high snap, but Hoops handles it, gets his kick down to Scribner, bounding in front of him at the 20. There'll be no return, and the ball is out of bounds at about the 17-yard line. So that kick is good for 33 yards, and the Rams have the ball. Back now inside their 20-yard line, actually at the 19, where to be first down and 10 to go for Los Angeles.
Still have not seen James Harris put the ball up. He was faced with 3rd down and 17. They elected to try McCutcheon, trying the right side. And we should mention, too, that John Cappelletti is available for service here. He was out with mono. With a pause in the action now, there is no score from the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
In case you missed the details of that AFC game at snowy Pittsburgh, Terry Bradshaw sent the Pittsburgh Steelers to their 2nd consecutive Super Bowl appearance, throwing 20 yards to John Stallworth for the clinching TD in the 4th period to spark a 16-10 victory over the playoff-plagued Oakland Raiders in that American Conference title game at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. Bradshaw's touchdown pass came 3 plays after middle linebacker Jack Lambert recovered a playoff record 3rd fumble of the game and sent the defending champion Steelers into the January 18th Super Bowl in Miami against the Dallas-Los Angeles winner. After a fiercely contested defensive struggle in the first half, in which Pittsburgh managed a 3-0 lead at halftime on Roy Gorella's 36-yard field goal, and an error-filled 3rd period that featured 5 consecutive turnovers in the freezing 15-degree temperature, both clubs began clicking offensively in the final quarter. Lambert recovered fumbles on back-to-back Oakland series in the 3rd period, and his 2nd recovery gave Pittsburgh possession on the Steelers' 30. So the Steelers advance to the Super Bowl, meeting the winner of today's game.
Back at the Coliseum, the Rams take over. First down and 10 yards to go on their own 17.5-yard line. James Harris sets up behind an offensive line. And, John, take a look at the experience here. Charlie Cowan, 15 years from New Mexico. Tom Mack, his 10th year from Michigan. The youngster there is Rich Saul, the center, with only 6 years out of Michigan State. To the right of him, Joe Chabelli, 15-year veteran from Notre Dame, and Johnny Williams, 8 years out of Minnesota. Pretty good protection for James Harris.
Here's Harris ready to out that quarterback spot at the 19-yard line of the Rams. He moves them out of the high into a setback. Behind him are McCutcheon and Bryant. Calling his signals. The handoff is given to McCutcheon. He cuts inside the end, goes past the 20, up to about the 25, and down at the 26-yard line. McCutcheon cutting inside, reading that hole perfectly as James Harris handed off to McCutcheon, getting a block from Bryant, and on the play it was Cliff Harris, the free safety for the Cowboys, stopping him at the 25 after a gain of 6. It makes it 2nd down and 4 to go. You mentioned Cowan, Jim, and he had a distinction this year of playing in his 206th game, the first Ram in history to play over 200 games. He's missed only 3 since he joined the club 15 years ago. Here are the Rams now, 2nd and 4 at the 25-yard line. As McCutcheon, the lone remaining back, Harris throwing a pass, intercepted, picked off that time by D.D. Lewis. He's at the 20 down to the 18-yard line. The Cowboys have the ball as D.D. Lewis intercepts the pass thrown by Harris. Jackson made the tackle on the play, and a big break for the Cowboys. A tough one for the Rams. And the first real decisive play of the ball game. In the first now, as we come, well, the scoreboard has gone off as far as any time left in this first quarter. That was Harold Jackson, the intended receiver, and he made the tackle on D.D. Lewis, who intercepts on the play, and it's 1st and 10 for Dallas at the 18-yard line of Los Angeles now. Whether they can capitalize on an early break here, we'll see. There goes Richards wide to the right side. Coming out left is Drew Pearson. Calling signals, Roger Staubach. He splits his running backs behind him, Newhouse and Pearson. As Staubach has it. Will play action fake. Back to pass. Throws the screen. Caught by Pearson at the 20. He's down to the 15 to the 10. He's down to 5. Dodges the man. Goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Dallas. Dallas strikes quickly, as that time was Roger Staubach throwing a screen pass to Preston Pearson. The blockers forming perfectly after a little play action fake to freeze off those linebackers of the Rams. And into the end zone for the touchdown, an 18-yard scoring play for the Cowboys. They lead it 6-0, and it'll be Tony Fritsch in to kick the tie for point. And how these Rams, remember Tony, Jimmy kicked 4 field goals against them to help them win that ball game down in Dallas earlier this year.
That's right. In that game, too, we mentioned the 6 turnovers, 3 Los Angeles fumbles, 3 interceptions. They've already had 1 turnover, and it led directly to a quick Dallas score.
You're all set now. Holding the ball for the Rams, for the Cowboys, Charlie Waters. Here's Fritz's kick on its way. That one is good. And the Cowboys have a 7-0 lead in this first quarter. The scoreboard has become inoperative here in the Coliseum, showing nothing as far as the time remaining. So we'll just say it's in the first quarter with the score, with a timeout on the field. The Cowboys 7 and the Rams nothing.
Well, in hockey today, exhibition game at Buffalo, Rick Martin scored 2 first-period goals and assisted on 3 others as the Buffalo Sabres blasted 9 goals in the first 2 periods to pin a 12-6 rout on the touring Soviet Union team. This was the Wings. They have 2 teams, the Army team and the Wings. And this gives the National Hockey League its first win in the series against the touring Russian team. It'll be an 8-game series when it's all over. Right now, they're 1-2-1. The other night, Montreal tied them. Earlier, the Russians won a couple of games against 2 NHL teams. They beat the New York Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the goals were also the most scored by a North American team against the Russians since the series between the Soviets and Team Canada began in 1972. Elsewhere in tennis, Mark Edmondson has toppled 3-time Wimbledon winner John Newcomb to win the $100,000 Marlboro Open in Australia. He won 6-7, 6-3, 7-6, and 6-1.
Tony Fritz is kicking off for the Cowboys down to the Rams 10-yard line. Where it's taken there by Ron Jesse. Bobbles it. Back up he recovers to the 15, then reverses the field to the 20, and out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. Ron Jesse taking that kick from Tony Fritz. And the Rams will have the ball for the 3rd time this afternoon. In case you just joined us, they started previous drives from their 38th and 19. And, Jim, you have to feel the reaction of the crowd down below as James Harris is getting a little pressure on him, huh?
Well, he's thrown 1 pass, Don. That was picked off by D.D. Lewis, led directly to the Dallas score. Ron Jaworski came in that Green Bay game, led the Rams to a win, came right back, upset Pittsburgh on Saturday night, and, of course, the big win against St. Louis a week ago. So the fans now shouting they want the Polish rifle out here in Ronnie Jaworski.
Here's Harris ready from the 25-yard line. He takes his backs out of the eye. They are McCutcheon and Bryant. Jesse wide right, Jackson to the left. The handoff is given this time to McCutcheon, and he goes through the middle, but doesn't gain much through that Dallas front wall. He's tackled by Harvey Martin, who is one of the newcomer starters up there in his 3rd season with Dallas. Great pass rusher, and he hung in there to make the tackle and a rush through the middle. Gain of a lot of yards. 2nd down and 9 to go now for the Rams, just past their 26. We mentioned that the Cowboys, the #1 offensive team in the conference, the Rams are 5th in that regard. 3rd in rushing, 7th in passing. Rams offense largely based on a running game. Here's Harris ready now, operating with a 2nd down and about 8.5 to go. Split backs, McCutcheon and Bryant behind him. As the handoff is given, that Scribner in for Bryant. The ball is given to Scribner, and he carries it up to about the 27-yard line. Again, they'll shuttle those back between Bryant and Scribner. Rob Scribner, the ball carrier, and Dave Edwards knocks him down. The 13-year veteran strong side linebacker for the Cowboys. It is 3rd down and about 8 to go as Bryant comes back in for Scribner.
You know, Don, when the Cowboys came in on Friday night and Tom Landry had his press conference, he was informed then by some of the news people that James Harris would start, asked if it had any special problems defending either Jaworski or Harris. He said no, but he wasn't even aware that Harris would get the starting call here today. But then when informed so, he said, well, he is their starting quarterback. He should get the nod.
3rd and 8 now as again the Rams are ready in long yardage. There goes Harris back to pass, throws it over the middle. It is incomplete. Intended on an up and in pattern that time. Intended for Terry Nelson, throwing to his tight end. And that's something rare in the Los Angeles playbook. Nelson has caught only 1 pass since he took over for Bob Klein after Bob was injured in the 11th game. And Dwayne Carroll is into punt now for the 2nd time this afternoon as the Rams go nowhere. As to be exact, only 2 yards. Back to receive is Golden Richards, the punt return specialist, as well as the wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, and from the 27-yard line. Carroll ready to punt. Dallas could come up with good field position on this again. Here's the punt. It's coming to the near side. Will pound and pass. Richards getting a pretty good Los Angeles hop down to the 32-yard line. And so the kick is good for 41 yards. And Dallas will have the ball for the fourth time this afternoon at their 34-yard line. Credit Carroll with a 39-yard kick to be exact. The Rams offense, Jim Salinger, keeping our stats today, says they are -2. And that has to worry Chuck Knox.
Well, they came in here ranked number 5 in the NFC, 3rd in rushing, 7th in passing. The last pass by Harris, he had his tight end Nelson open. It was just thrown below, a little underneath the coverage. Bad pass. And down on the sideline now, Ron Jaworski's warming up, Don.
Here's Dallas ready as Staubach hands it off, and through the middle goes Dennison this time, and Doug carries up to about the 37. That's a change also for Dallas. Dennison is a short yardage specialist. He scored 7 touchdowns and led the Dallas rushers in goal line situations, and that time he carries on a first down on long yardage, of course, 1st and 10, and he gains about 3 to make it 2nd and 7. That was Cody Jones of Los Angeles making the stop. 2nd and 7 now for the Cowboys at their own 37. There goes the hero of the victory last week, Drew Pearson, wide right, coming out left, Golden Richards. Roger Staubach is ready. He's going back, a short drop pass, goes to the right side. It's caught by Richards, this time by Billy Joe Dupree going out of the sideline. He caught it at about the 47-yard line. Eddie McMillan took him out at the 49 to be exact. There's enough yardage for a first down. A gain on the play of just about 12 yards.
Just a simple out pattern there by Dupree. He got by his man over on the right side. Eddie McMillan took the pass, just a little bit overthrown, but a good catch that time by Dupree. So the Cowboys on the move once again.
There is one of the young players to replace him, Percy Howard, wide receiver, and now with Drew Pearson are the 2 wide receivers for Dallas, as they'll be in action now from their own 31-yard line. This is Dallas's first possession of the second half. They lead the ball game 21-0. The Los Angeles Coliseum crowd roots its defense on now to try to get that ball back. The Cowboys operating out of a split back behind Staubach. Roger hands it off this time to Newhouse as Robert comes past the 35 and out of bounds at about the 36-yard line, gaining almost 5 yards before Eddie McMillan drives him out. McMillan, who replaced Charlie Stooks, out with a knee injury and knee surgery. 3rd-year man playing the left corner with the rookie Monty Jackson at the other. In the secondary, Dave Elmendorf and Bill Simpson are the safeties. Backing up the line are Ken Geddes and Isaiah Robertson outside, and Jack Reynolds, the defensive captain, in the middle. Up front are Fred Dreyer and Jack Youngblood, the ends, and Merlin Olsen and Cody Jones, the tackles, the 11 defensive players on the field for the Rams. Here it is now with a 2nd down and 2, a gain of 8 yards up to the 33 on that last play. The handoff is given this time to Robert Newhouse, and Newhouse appears to have the first down. From the 31-yard line where that drive started, he gained about 7.5 yards up to the 38, call it, and then Newhouse takes it up to the 42 for a first down on the play, going 11 yards in the drive, and Jack Reynolds was the man who stopped the play.
You make that a Reynolds rap?
Well, if you want to call it that, we'll let you have it. Huh? Very good. Jack Reynolds, who is in as a Pro Bowl reserve player this year for the first time. First-round pick of the Rams back in 1970. Here goes Staubach back to pass. Throws one through a screen out the left side. Completes to Pearson. He's up to the 45, the 50. Down to the 45, and down he goes. After a gain on that play of about 13, 14 more yards. Well, they spotted it's into Ram territory to the 45-yard line. A gain of about 12, 13 yards. And again, Jack Reynolds made the stop. So the Rams quickly start the same momentum that they carried in the first half and move the ball from the 31 to the 45. 24 yards, the first time they've had the ball in the second half. There goes Drew Pearson wide to the left side, and now going to Richards' replacement, Percy Howard is out of the right. Gene Fugit can come in to play that wide receiver spot, although normally a tight end. Here's the handoff, is given this time to Newhouse. Newhouse filled at the line of scrimmage, that time by Jack Youngblood.
12 minutes, 12 seconds to go. You know, you mentioned the fact that the Ram defense digging in now, trying to get that ball back. And with the exception of the 2 interceptions thrown by the Rams, one by Harris, one by Jaworski, and the one miscue by Staubach, the game has been free of fumbles, in quite a contrast to that Pittsburgh-Oakland game earlier today when they turned the ball over almost every time you looked.
So true, and of course they'll tell you they're glad to play on this kind of a surface down here in contrast to the cold day back in Pittsburgh today. The Rams were hoping, of course, that what a great benefit that would be to them rather than going to Minneapolis. There goes Staubach, back to pass again. He comes out of the pocket. He's running now, past the 40, down to the 35, and gains about 9, almost 10 yards. He may have the first down at the 35-yard line of the Rams.
He collected quite a few Ram jerseys down there at the 35-yard line, and Roger wisely tucked the ball in and just dove down to the turf. He was about to get hit pretty hard by Simpson, also Elmendorf and Geddes coming over there, and again our friend Jack Reynolds.
So it is a first down for the Cowboys now at the 35-yard line of the Rams. Rams the second leading defensive team of the conference, but no match today for this Dallas offense. Here come the Cowboys, moving Drew Pearson wide left, and coming out right now is Percy Howard. The running backs are Dennison in for Pearson now. Here's in motion Pearson as the fake handoff, and back to pass goes Staubach, running again. He's got some room at the 30, the 25, the 20, and hit down at the 21-yard line by a pair of Rams after gaining 12. That time that was Dave Elmendorf and Bill Simpson, the two safeties converging on him at the 21-yard line. Enough yardage for a first down, again about 12 yards. First and 10 Dallas. Let's break at 5 seconds here for our stations to identify themselves. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
This drive started back at the 31-yard line of Dallas. They've moved it 49 yards now to the Rams 20. Lone remaining back is Newhouse. Short slot on the left side for Pearson. Back to pass goes Staubach. Fakes once, now throws his pass to Newhouse. Incomplete. Robert coming out of the backfield was the intended receiver, but broken up that time. Youngblood putting the pressure on Staubach and hurried the pass. And Newhouse just couldn't hold it. It'll be second down and 10 to go, just shy of the 20-yard line of the Rams.
Word now from the bench, Don, that Golden Richards has a cramp just above his ankle, and the trainer over there working on it, and hopeful that they'll get it loosened up and he can get back in there. And the play there, the pass to Newhouse, Staubach, of course, was being pressured and didn't see it, but he had Preston Pearson all alone in the left corner of the end zone as he had beaten Simpson over there deep. So let's see what they come back with here.
There goes Howard out to the left side. Now Pearson to the right. The back shift out of the set to the eye. And the handoff given to Dennison. He's coming right past the 20, but can't struggle his way loose from two Rams who have him down below at the 20. That was Jack Reynolds coming up the middle linebacker, and strong safety Dave Elmendorf, who is on him too. Elmendorf, who's been a starter as a rookie in his 5 years for these Rams, passed up a great baseball career ahead of him as a great outfielder at Texas A&M. And quite a football player at that strong safety spot. He made the tackle a yard past the line of scrimmage. So it's third down and 9, and with Staubach expected to go to the shotgun, the Rams put 5 defensive backs in there, and Steve Priest has replaced Ken Geddes, who comes out from his linebacker post.
And it might be a little early to start talking about key plays, Don, but obviously the Rams have to stop Dallas here. They can't afford to go 28-0 now as we're in the third quarter.
Staubach back now and pitches a short one up to Pearson at the 15 to the 10, down to the 5. He's into the end zone. Touchdown. Has a great move by Staubach, throwing a shovel pass up front to Preston Pearson, much as you'd throw a basketball. And Pearson taking the ball. They weren't looking for the Rams through the middle. I think, Jim, if you wanted an answer to your question, what would Tom Landry do? Would he play it conservatively? No way. He keeps it going and comes up and moves into his trick bag with that one, throwing it to Preston Pearson for the 4th touchdown of the day for the Dallas Cowboys from the 19-yard line.
You know, you have to wonder what's going through the minds now, the Ram defenders. Here they are coming in, giving only 15 touchdowns on the season, but 3 in the last 3 games, and the last 6 games, actually. And here they've given up 4 now in less than 3 quarters to Dallas.
Tony Fritz is kicking. It's on its way. It is good. And Dallas has a 28-point lead. We've got a timeout on the field. 9 minutes, 5 seconds to go in the third period. The score now, Dallas 28, Los Angeles nothing.
Belgian heavyweight Jean-Pierre Koopmans boarded a plane for New York today to contract to fight with world heavyweight champion Muhammad Ali. Koopmans' manager said the contest is expected to be set for February 20th, but the site is undetermined. He said one proposal to fight in Uganda was turned down on grounds the climate would not suit his fighter. Koopmans, a 29-year-old stone cutter, is virtually unknown in European boxing circles, and the idea of a contest with Ali has prompted sharp criticism from the European sporting press and boxing authorities. The 6'2", 194-pounder formerly in fairgrounds boots and turned professional only 3 years ago. Since then, he has a record of 20 victories and 3 defeats. His supporters have dubbed him the Lion of Flanders. Well, in case you've joined us late in the AFC Championship game, the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Oakland Raiders by the score of 16-10. Now back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
Tony Fritz is going to kick off for Dallas. Cully Bryant, along with Willie McGee, the deep receivers, stationing themselves at the 5-yard line for the Rams, who are 28 points in the hole now. Time is not a factor, but the scoreboard certainly is. There are still some 25 minutes of action left, but the Rams would need an awful lot of breaks and a complete reversal of form of this ball game to get back into it now. Here's the kick on its way from Fritz, going over to the right corner, and grabbed over there by McGee, comes out of there near the sideline of the 10. He's being hemmed in trouble, and down he goes at about the 13-yard line. He's hit at the 13-yard line, and it'll be first down and 10 to go for the Rams at that point.
There was a loose football down there, Don, and some of the Cowboys thought that they had it, but the officials said no, the play was dead before the fumble, so the Rams take over now in the shadow of their own goal post. First down, 10 yards to go from their own 13-yard line, down 28-0. And you have to imagine that back in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania right now, Chuck Noll and his staff trying to figure out a way, as Chuck Knox and his staff is right here in the Coliseum, to stop Roger Staubach.
And here ready now is Ron Jaworski, quarterbacking the Rams from their 13-yard line. The running backs are Bryant and McCutcheon. Here goes Jaworski back to rush on. He throws his pass to a safety valve. McCutcheon at the 15 to the 20. He's up to the 25. That'd be a gain on the play of about 11 or 12 yards. D.D. Lewis came up from the right linebacker post to get McCutcheon after the catch. Gain of maybe 11 yards on the play. It'll be a first down and 10 to go. A couple of Dallas men are there on the ground. One is Dave Edwards, the left linebacker. The other, whose number is obscured from our vision here, Jethro Pugh, I believe, is the other man on the ground. Two Cowboys racked up on that play at the 25-yard line. It's a first down for the Rams at that point.
And you know, Don, that's only the fourth first down in the ball game for the Rams. Dallas with 16, Los Angeles with but 4. And it comes after the Rams have dug themselves into a 28-0 deficit. Roger Staubach now, 6 carries for a total of 46 yards in the rushing department, but most impressive, 12 out of 19 passing, 181 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Those two down there now, John Fitzgerald, who is spotting for us. We've got a timeout here in the field. We'll break it here for a moment. With 8.5 minutes to go in the third quarter, the score, Dallas 28, Los Angeles nothing.
Well, elsewhere in sports on this Sunday, Kevin Zappia scored 1 goal and added 4 assists Sunday to lead Clarkson College to a 10-5 victory over Vermont in the finals of the ECAC Holiday Hockey Festival at Madison Square Garden. It was the second tournament win in 2 weeks for Clarkson, which came here after winning the Syracuse Invitational Tournament. Clarkson reached the finals with a 4-2 victory over Cornell Friday night, while Vermont turned back Pennsylvania 6-5 in overtime. Zappia, who had 2 assists Friday night, was named the tourney's most valuable player. Glenn Tamaris had 2 goals and 2 assists for Clarkson in the championship game, with Randy Cooch getting 2 goals for Vermont. Clarkson goaltender George Galbraith stopped 30 Vermont shots, while Clarkson fired 44 shots at Catamount goalie Tom McNamara. In the consolation game, Cornell blasted Penn by the score of 8-2. Right now, let's go back to Jim Kelly and Don Klein at the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
First and 10 now for the Rams. John Fitzgerald spotting for us today for the Dallas Cowboys. Not center John Fitzgerald. John's down there in the field himself, but he tells us that is Harvey Martin, who was hurt on that last play, but he's okay and ready to go. First and 10, the Rams at the Los Angeles 25-yard line. Calling signals, Jaworski moves his backs out of the eye. He's back to pass. Ron being rushed from the blind side. He's hit back at the 15-yard line. Ed Jones, too tall, coming through to get him. Jones knocks him down. The great All-American from Tennessee State, playing his second year of pro football. All-rookie team of last year, and he drove in on top of Jaworski, and he sacked him back at about the 16-yard line for a loss of 9 yards. The NFL's top draft choice of 74, one of the rookies around whom Tom Landry is building this defense, and Jones was there to get him. A loss of 9, second and 19 for the Rams now at the 16-yard line of Los Angeles. 8 minutes to play, third quarter, and the score is 28-0 in favor of the Cowboys. The Cowboys put 5 defensive backs in there now. Benny Barnes is in as the 5th man. Jaworski expected to pass, goes back to pass, throws one out to the right side, caught this time. Over there that time, Terry Nelson, the tight end. Nelson takes it at about the 20-yard line, and they're going to spot it there. He's hit by Cliff Harris at the 23-yard line. Gain of about the 9 he had lost in the previous play. That'll bring up 3rd down and 11 called, a gain of about 8 yards.
You came into Los Angeles, Don. We expected to see a defensive showing by the Rams. It's turned out exactly the opposite. The doomsday defense of Coach Tom Landry and the Dallas Cowboys digging in here, shutting off the offense. We should point out that the 3 touchdowns by Preston Pearson ties the playoff record. Otto Graham for the Cleveland Browns scored 3 against Detroit in the 54 playoff game. Gary Collins of Cleveland did the same against Baltimore in 64, and Tom Matty of Baltimore against Cleveland in 68. Preston Pearson, 3 touchdown receptions, all good for touchdowns off the arm of Roger Staubach here this afternoon.
3rd and 11 now as Jaworski goes back to pass again. Looking downfield, ducks under a rush, can't get away, and down he goes back to the 12-yard line. He's going for a loss of about 9 yards on the play. Jaworski's 3rd sacking of the day. Down in the clutches that time of the Dallas Cowboys, Dave Edwards on a blitz from the linebacker. Got him first at the 12-yard line, and back into the end zone to kick goes Dwayne Carroll. As the Rams started this drive at their 13-yard line, remember, and end up with their 12. So for the second time in 2 possessions for the Rams in the second half, they're forced to punt. Dwayne Carroll in his end zone. Cliff Harris is back to receive, a change from, of course, Richards, who is out. Here's the kick, and Carroll gets one off the side of his foot. It's going to bound out at the 30-yard line of the Rams, and Dallas has great field position as Dwayne Carroll now having trouble as the Rams are in every department. Dwayne Carroll punts one out of bounds to the 30-yard line, and it's just not his Los Angeles' day.
And the 91,000 faithful a little disgruntled now. We're at the 6-minute, 29-second mark of the 3rd quarter, 28-0, and as Don said, Dallas in great field position here. A chance really to put the thing away altogether. They're on the 31-yard line of the Los Angeles Rams, and Roger the Dodger with 4 touchdowns brings them out.
19-yard punt on that one. Here's Staubach ready, hands it on to Newhouse, coming over the right tackle, gets down to the 28-yard line. He gains about 3 yards on the play. As a matter of fact, Jim, the last time Dallas started a drive, they were at their own 31, and they went 69 yards. Now they start this one from the Rams' 31-yard line and are within striking distance of their 5th touchdown of the day against a team which yielded only 15 touchdowns all year last year during the regular season, allowing only 3 in their last 6 games when they went on that win streak to tie down the Western Division Championship of the NFC. Going wide left now is Drew Pearson. Coming out to the right side is Percy Howard. Richards still on the bench. The running backs out of the set position into an I. Charlie Young is in there for Newhouse. The handoff to Young, and he drives over the left side past the 25 down to the 23-yard line and gains about 5 yards before Jack Youngblood knocks him down. Charles Young is from North Carolina State. He has the distinction this year with these great backs of Newhouse and Pearson of making the longest run of 1974, 53 yards last year against Houston as a rookie. 3rd and 2 now for Dallas at the Rams' 23-yard line. And how much Preston Pearson has meant to this ball club today, this year coming in after being previously at Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Preston Pearson, his first year with Dallas. Here goes Staubach back to pass. And it's blocked and deflected, incomplete. That was Jack Youngblood who got a hand on that ball, deflecting it with a rush. And that'll bring up 4th down at the 22-yard line.
And Staubach rolling out to the right side there, almost a repeat of what happened in that St. Louis game. Youngblood with a chance for an interception. You'll recall he went 47 yards against the Cardinals. And as we review it here, Staubach rolling out to the right side. Youngblood bats it up in the air and then dives for it just off his fingertips. He couldn't have gone all the way, but at least the Rams would have had the ball back. Got to take a look at what Dallas has done, Don, in the last month, and what a great coaching job by Tom Landry here. Just 4 weeks ago, St. Louis beat them 31-17, and since that time, they've come up with big wins against Washington and the Jets, and of course St. Louis last week, and now they're just destroying the Rams here in the NFC Championship.
Charlie Waters holding as Fritz kicks from the 30, a 40-yard effort on its way, and that one is good. And Tony Fritz, who kicked 4 against the Rams, and they beat them in the season opener, has now his first field goal of the day here today. A 40-yard field goal that puts the Dallas Cowboys ahead of the Rams 31-0. We've got a pause in the action on the field below as Dallas awaits the kickoff. And the score, to repeat, is Dallas 31, Los Angeles nothing.
Well, the World Hockey Association's financially strapped the Minnesota Fighting Saints, who are in a little worse shape today. Two youths, believed to be about 12 years old, ripped off $250 from a box office last night. Police in St. Paul, Minnesota, said one boy engaged the ticket seller in conversation at one window, while the other youth reached through a second window and grabbed the money. Police said the young thieves carried the stolen cash out of the building in a brown vinyl bag. Organizers of the 1976 Winter Olympic Games have called an emergency meeting in Vienna for Tuesday to discuss measures against a dangerous shortage of snow. The Olympics open at Innsbruck, Austria, February 4th, and the last snowfalls in Innsbruck were recorded in early November. Sort of odd there for Innsbruck, Austria, normally a place that has a lot of snow. However, not so for 1976. Right now, back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
Here's Tony Fritsch teeing up the ball at the 35-yard line for Dallas, and back to receive. A trio of Ram receivers. Back is Coley Bryant as the deep man in the middle, waiting for Fritsch's kick. Rams trailing by 31 points. Willie McGee and Rob Scribner also back with Coley Bryant. There's the whistle, and here's Tony Fritsch coming forward. Kick on its way. And going over to the right corner where it's grabbed over there by Willie McGee at the 10, up to the 20, running the sideline to the 30, and down he goes at the 32-yard line, running it back about 22 yards to the 32, where he was tackled at that point by the Cowboys' Warren Capone, reserve linebacker from Louisiana State, signed as a free agent. Signed, as a matter of fact, after having played with Birmingham of the World Football League. First and 10 for the Rams now at the 30-yard line. Take one of the great comebacks, certainly in not only regular season play, but certainly in postseason play for the Rams to pull this one out now. 31-0 against them. 5 minutes to go, third quarter. As here is Ron Jaworski all set. The handoff and a draw through the middle comes McCutcheon, and Lawrence is nailed at the 31-yard line. You wouldn't know it's the same ball team and the same runner as McCutcheon. The way this Dallas defense is operating today compared to last week against St. Louis, when McCutcheon ran for 202 yards, carried the ball 37 times, and set an NFC playoff record.
Now, we mentioned in the series at the top of the broadcast, too, Don, that the Rams lead the series 5 games to 4. But Dallas, of course, has won the last 2. They won the 73 divisional playoff when Dallas won that game 27-16. And, of course, they won the season opener 16 weeks ago, 18-7 in Dallas.
As here once again now, Jaworski's back, throwing a pass caught by Willie McGee. He's up at the 45 and down to the 47-yard line. There's a flag thrown on the play. McGee has come in at that they're using, instead of a tight end, Terry Nelson, they've got Harold Jackson and Willie McGee, the 2 wide receivers, along with a third man, Ron Jesse, in there now, as the Rams' only prayer in this ball game is go to the air and make it work in a hurry. And obviously, Dallas knows that. They've gone to a 5th defensive back in Washington and Renfro, the corners, Waters and Harris at the safeties, and Benny Barnes coming in as a third cornerback, in effect, and the 5th defensive back. That play, even though the Rams hit on it, it's being called back now. After a gain of about 17, 18 yards in the play, holding could be the call. It is holding against the Rams. A 10-yard penalty takes it back to they're going to spot it actually at the 22-yard line. Charlie Cowan was the man guilty on the play. McCutcheon now has 10 carries for a total of 7 yards is the figure we have. That's -4 in the second half. He had only 11 in the first half. There's the story of the ball game as the Rams try to build around that running attack. Here goes Jaworski back. The rush is on him. He escapes the first one. 2 more after him, and down he goes in the grass with Bill Gregory. Gregory got Jaworski that time, back at the 15-yard line. Jethro Pugh was also on the rush on him, back at the 13-yard line. A loss on that play of 9 more yards, and will make it now third down and 27 to go.
Jethro Pugh, the man that chased Jaworski out of the pocket, he was in trouble back at about the 10-yard line. And then the big rush put on by Harvey Mott, and he fumbled out of bounds. Otherwise, it might have been another Dallas recovery there of one of the Los Angeles mistakes. Now the Rams trailing it 31-0. We've got 4 minutes, 2 seconds left to go. They're digging themselves into a deeper hole. Line of scrimmage now way back in the shadow of their own goalpost at the 13-yard line. They've got to get down all the way up to the 40.
First, third down now, and that's about 27 to go, Jim. As here they're ready, operating from the I formation. They have 3 wide receivers in there now, Jesse, Jackson, and McGee. They split the running backs behind Jaworski. Drawn back almost to the goal line to throw a pass, and he's sacked. Hit that time. He was sacked that time. Coming through to get him was Randy White. Randy White coming up from that right end spot on the rush, and Jaworski's hit at the 2-yard line. It'll be 4th and 38 to go for the Rams. And their cause appears ever hopeless here at the Los Angeles Coliseum, going from bad to worse for the moment. 3:55 remain to be played in the third quarter. They trail 31-0. They got the ball at the 30, and in 3 plays they end up at their 2.
Not a bad rookie to have on your starting lineup there. Randy White had a tough time breaking in with D.D. Lewis, Leroy Jordan, and Dave Edwards, the linebackers, but the rookie from Maryland, 6'4", 245.
Cliff Harris is back to receive along with Riley Woolsey. Here's the kick coming down, grabbed by Harris at the 37, back to the 30, and hit at that point after about an 8-yard run back. So that kick is good for 35 yards that time from Dwayne Carroll. The tackle made by Rick Kay on the run back, and there it'll be first down and 10 to go for Dallas now at the Los Angeles 29-yard line.
Cowboys came in, Don, with a total of 41 quarterback sacks, while the offensive line of the Rams had allowed their quarterback to be captured back there just 30 times. Dallas so far this afternoon has caught Harris and Jaworski back behind the line of scrimmage 5 times for a total of 51 yards.
Here's Dallas operating now at the Ram 29-yard line, slotting their receivers right. Pearson along with Howard, as this time Newhouse, as he takes it at about the 19-yard line, running out of bounds at the 18. That would be enough, a gain of about 11 yards on the play. That was Pearson taking that pass.
And Isaiah Robertson and Burton Lawless having some words down in the field back at about the 30-yard line. I think we're going to have a penalty stepped off here, a personal foul, I believe, against Los Angeles.
Well, of course, the Rams now feeding the frustration of this ball game and taking it out somewhat in that fashion to the 17-yard line. There it's going to be first down and 10 to go for the Cowboys at the Rams 17. There goes Percy Howard wide to the left side, and coming out right is Drew Pearson. Staubach shifts his backs into the I formation. Behind him are Young and Pearson now. Hand off to Young, and he's through the middle. And Charles takes it down to about the 13-yard line before he's hit. That would be a gain of almost 5 yards on the play. As the Cowboys, within striking distance now of another score. The contrast in this third quarter so marked by the Rams' 3 possessions in punting in all cases, and Dallas in its third possession of the quarter, and now about to cap it off with a third score in their 3 possessions.
And Dallas has played most of this third quarter, Don, in the Ram end.
There's Howard off on the left side, and Pearson to the right. And Staubach rolls out to the right side, throws a pass, caught by Fugit, and he's out of bounds at about the 14-yard line. Dave Elmendorf was defending against the reception. He took him out at about the 14. That's a gain of about 3 yards on the play. Brings up a third down for the Cowboys now at the Rams' 14-yard line. The clock showing 2 minutes, 45 seconds left in the third period here in the Los Angeles Coliseum. And Dallas ahead 31-0. Cowboys break their huddle and send Pearson wide left. Drew Pearson coming right is Percy Howard, still in for the injured Golden Richard. Running backs are Young and Preston Pearson. The handoff to Young, and he goes over the left tackle past the 10 and down to about the 8-yard line. That would be very close to a first down before Merlin Olsen knocked him down. Olsen knocked him down at about the 8 or 9-yard line. He has to get to the 7 for the first down. And on 4th down, Tony Fritsch is coming in for the second time now to attempt a field goal. This is within chip shot range for Tony Fritsch. 15 for 16 inside the 30-yard line this year, and he's kicking this one from about 25 yards out. Charlie Waters holding, Fritsch kicking, 25-yard field goal on the way, and that one is good. And the Cowboys have another 3 points, making it 34-0 over the Rams. With 2 minutes remaining in this, the third quarter here at the Coliseum. Tony Fritsch's second straight field goal after the Rams gave up great field position to the Cowboys at the Los Angeles 29. And they took it down there to about the 9-yard line before Fritsch was forced to go for the 3 points. Now in this ball game, the Cowboys have scored a touchdown and 2 field goals in this second half, added to their 3 first-half touchdowns. And, Jim, do you have any serious doubts of the outcome?
No, just the final score at this point. You really have to go back to that first quarter and the first series of downs as far as the Rams were concerned offensively. I think the fact that D.D. Lewis came up with a big interception, the Cowboys punched it in for a score in the very next play. You have to learn what that did to the Rams emotionally. All of a sudden they found themselves down 7-0, and it wasn't the defense giving it up so much as the fact the offense turned it over in great scoring position, and the Rams never seemed to recover from that down. They've never really been in the ball game.
So often that will set the tide of a ball game, unless, of course, they come too easily and then somebody loses their momentum. But Dallas has not been guilty of that problem. Here's the kick coming down to Coley Bryant. He has it to the 10, back to 15, runs to the near sideline of the 30, out to the 35, and forced out of bounds that time by Benny Barnes, who ran him out at about the 30, when they mark it around the 37, 38-yard line. There the Rams will have it. First down with 1:48 to go in the third quarter. First and 10 for the Rams. They're going to spot it actually at the 35-yard line. This will be the 4th time the Rams have had the ball in this second half, but unable to do anything but punt on the first 3 possessions.
And as we look ahead to 2 weeks from this afternoon in Miami, Florida, at the Orange Bowl, the site of Super Bowl 10, the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have to wonder what's going through the mind of the Steelers as they're back very cognizant of the fact that the Cowboys completely destroying and manhandling the Rams here, wondering just what's happening to this Dallas team.
Another handoff from Jaworski given to McCutcheon, and Lawrence carries past the 35 to the 37-yard line. You know, I have to feel also, Jim, that coaches throughout the league are thinking about this Dallas team and how Tom Landry might be starting another trend of a few years back in the great Dallas teams the Cowboys have put together, because this is a young team, and these fellas are going to be around for a long time.
Well, Dallas came into this game with a record of 10-4. Green Bay got their first win of the season by beating Dallas 19-17. Dallas just got by Philadelphia 20-17. Washington beat them 30-24 in overtime. So a lot of coaches who upset Dallas, so to speak, wondering, gee, we beat these guys. Now here they are out on the Coliseum floor just destroying the Rams.
Here's Jaworski back to pass again. Throws to Ron Jesse, and it is incomplete as Mark Washington defended on the pass, and that'll make it 3rd down for the Rams, and they still have 7 to go at the 38-yard line. 38 of Los Angeles, 3rd down and about 7. With 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining here at the third period at the Coliseum. The issue missed the earlier game. Pittsburgh defeated the Oakland Raiders 16-10. On a cold day back in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers are in the Super Bowl to defend it against the Dallas Cowboys, we have to assume now. Once again, the Rams line up at the 38-yard line. 3rd down, long yardage 7. Here's Jaworski back to pass. Throws. He's got a first down. Completing that pass to Terry Nelson. And Nelson is down on about the 47-yard line of the Rams. Where to be first down and 10 to go for Los Angeles. Listen to this crowd. Well, that was a first down, and they want to take advantage of it.
They haven't had much to cheer about, have they? That's
right.
First down number 5, 17 so far for the Dallas Cowboys. Rams now approaching midfield, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that they've been in Cowboy territory in the third quarter.
No, they have not. Here's Los Angeles ready now at the 48-yard line of the Rams. First and 10 to go. Jaworski putting split backs behind him. He's going back to pass. Good protection. Throws one 35 yards to 15 and incomplete. A flag has been thrown. Somebody pushed off down there. We've got interference, I believe, against Dallas. Pushed off against the receiver downfield on the play. appears to be Ron Jesse, who was bumped on. That's who it is who was bumped on the play. So there's a break for the Rams, and they have the ball down the Dallas 19-yard line. It's 34-0 in favor of the Cowboys. The Rams so badly need a spark to ignite them here. There's a little break for them. They started this drive. Los Angeles did, back at its 35-yard line. They've now moved it downfield to the 19-yard line of Dallas, thanks to that fast interference call. They moved it 46 yards. This is the longest Ram drive of the day now. Here's Jaworski moving the backs out of the eye. He spots his receivers on the left side, Jesse and Jackson. Jaworski on the fake end around, now throws to McCutcheon from the backfield to the 15, the 10. He fumbles, no, he still got it, and goes down to the 7-yard line. The way McCutcheon was hit first and then stood up as if he was not going any further at that point, then lowered his head, went some more with that ball. As down the 6-yard line, the gun sounds the end of the third quarter. With the score now, Dallas 34 and Los Angeles nothing.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, the 1976 Winter Olympics might be in a little bit of trouble. A special meeting call in Innsbruck, Austria coincides with this weekend's cancellation. Women's and men's World Cup ski races in West Germany because of an almost complete lack of snow. A similar snow shortage is endangering the women's and men's giant slalom and slalom track west of Innsbruck. Organizers say that no problems bringing sufficient snow onto the tracks at Innsbruck, but it will cost $275,000 to bring the snow from the adjoining mountains to the Olympic tracks. Innsbruck suffered from a similar shortage of snow when it staged the 1964 Olympics on the same tracks. The shortage was then overcome with the help of Army soldiers and volunteers shoveling snow onto the tracks brought in on trucks from the surrounding mountains. So perhaps a problem there for the 1976 Winter Olympics.
Back at the Coliseum, Los Angeles, California, 15 minutes to go in this NFC Championship game. The Dallas Cowboys on top 34-0. Rams trying to get back into it here. And you ask, well, what's the most number of points scored by a team in any one quarter? 27. That happened down back in 1934 when the New York Giants scored some 27 points in the last quarter to upset the Chicago Bears 30-13. You might recall it was a sneaker game. The Giants opened up the second half and they were wearing basketball shoes when they scored the 27 points. They were playing under conditions less than ideal, however, and certainly worse than we have here. The temperature at the time was 9 degrees back at the Polo Ground, and the field was a sheet of ice. A little bit different than the 68 degrees we're enjoying here this afternoon.
Rams so far today, Jim, have had drives of 32 and 44 yards in the first half, which ended up with field goal attempts that were no good. And this is their longest drive. They've gone 59 yards now to the 6-yard line of Dallas. And the crowd trying to get them across that goal line. Here's Jaworski ready. Slots his receivers left, keeps the running backs in the eye. McCutcheon along with Scribner now, shifting off to the right of McCutcheon. As Jaworski has it, he rolls out behind his two blockers. He's going to run the ball. Keeps it, gets down to the 1-yard line, and gains about 5 yards in the play. So the Rams now, needing a 65-yard drive, have 64 of them. Jethro Pugh was the man who stopped Jaworski, who took his backs out of the eye, and then used them as blockers. McCutcheon along with the Rob Scribner. And it's down to the 1-yard line. Scribner is replaced now, as is McCutcheon. John Cappelletti is into the ball game. Cappelletti, who has been a mononucleosis victim in recent days, recovering sufficiently to get into the action. He's in for the first time today for Lawrence McCutcheon, the former Heisman Trophy winner from Penn State. In the backfield with Cullen Bryant now. Jaworski at the 1-yard line. Second down and goal for the Rams. Calling a signal. They've not been here before. The handoff is given this time to He's in for the touchdown. That was John Cappelletti who goes in for the touchdown. Cliff Harris tried to stop him, couldn't, and it's a touchdown for Los Angeles. It's been a long time coming in this one, 45 minutes, but the Rams are on the scoreboard to make it now 34-6 in favor of Dallas. And in to attempt the conversion will be Tom Dempsey. That caps off Los Angeles' longest drive of the day, 65 yards, helped along by the 34-yard pass interference call against Cliff Harris. Waiting now, Jaworski holding. The ball placed out and kicked for Dempsey, and the kick is good. And it is Los Angeles scoring for the first time today. The Rams 34, the Cowboys 34, and the Rams 7, with just about 14 minutes left to go in the ball game.
And for John Cappelletti, that's touchdown number 7 on the year. Hasn't seen much action the last couple of games, of course, as John mentioned, because of the mononucleosis foul. Well, the next big game that we're looking forward to is Super Bowl 10 coming up on Sunday the 18th. But there's more in store for you than just the play-by-play of the Super Bowl game that weekend over most of these CBS radio network stations. Ron Will Elliott will be there the 17th and the 18th with 28 of his weekend special broadcasts covering the last 9 years of the Super Bowl and, of course, previewing this year's big game. And then, of course, you'll hear all the action as Ed Engels and I will bring you live coverage of Super Bowl 10. So get it all together on Saturday and Sunday. That's the 17th and 18th this January over most of these CBS radio network stations. 14:03 to go, Don Klein. And the Rams find themselves trailing by 27 points. So I guess you get the ball back and give it to the Polish rifle and try to fire it down that field. One of the interesting stats we've just been given, the fact that Harold Jackson, the fleet wide receiver, has not caught a pass in the ball game. Fine job so far by the Dallas secondary on Harold Jackson.
They've been more or less depending on those running backs coming out of the backfield. They've thrown to Terry Nelson, the tight end, a little more than they have in previous action. Here's Dempsey kicking off. Chuck Panama spotting for the Rams force today also points out, Jim, that is 7 touchdowns on 49 carries for Cappelletti this year, who, of course, has been their short yardage specialist. And all set now. Dempsey kicking. Doug Dennison is the deep receiver for the Cowboys. The kick coming down to him at the 3-yard line. He's got it. Comes up the middle between the hash marks. Cuts off to his right, still in the middle, the 20 to the 25, and down he goes after running it back 22 yards. Doug Dennison, he was tackled by Rick Kay. He's a great one on that special teams for the Rams. He's made 3 or 4 tackles off the punts today. The Rams, of course, have not been kicking off today. First and 10 now for Dallas at the Cowboy 25-yard line. This is the worst field position they've had in the second half. They started their last 2 scoring field goal drives from the Rams 31 and the 29-yard line. And, of course, you have to have the feeling that had the Rams been able to score, as they did a moment ago, in their first possession of the second half, we'd have a different kind of ball game going here. Newhouse and Dennison, the running back. In motion, Duguid now coming over to slot the left side. As Staubach runs to the weak side and goes on a keeper past the 30 up to the 34-yard line. He brought Duguid over to unbalance the receiving left and then ran to the right side where Merlin Olsen hit him out of bounds at about the 33-yard line. That's a gain of 8 yards in the play for Roger Staubach. Again, running by design and not scrambling.
Close to another first down for the Cowboys. Looks like Tom Landry and Roger Staubach want some more. This is their first possession in the fourth quarter. They scored 7 points in the first, 14 in the second, 13 in the third. And, of course, the Rams just a few seconds ago got on the board, and they're down now 34-7. Second down 8. Second and 2.
Here's Dallas ready at the 33-yard line. As Staubach has it, hands off to Dennison, going wide, and has the first down past the 35 to the 37-yard line. Doug Dennison, the ball carrier, hit by Dave Almondor. Veteran strong safety for the Rams. And the Cowboys have the ball now at their 37-yard line. Keeping the ball on the ground to burn the clock with 12:55 left. And the Cowboys comfortably ahead, 34-7. Preston Pearson and Robert Newhouse are now the running backs. Receivers come left to slot. The inside man is Percy Howard. Outside goes Drew Pearson. Golden Richards still resting over on the bench after coming up with a muscle cramp. Here's the handoff given to Newhouse, trying to go outside with a block by Pearson. He gets loose from a man up the 38 and goes to the 40, and down he goes on the far sideline. That was Newhouse behind the blocking of Preston Pearson on the play. Bill Simpson and Merlin Olsen stopped him on the far side. That's a gain of about 3 yards on the play. See when they bring the ball in to spot it at the 40-yard line. That'll be a gain of 3, and it's second down and 7 to go for the Cowboys now at the Dallas 40.
So far in the ball game, Don, Roger Staubach's the leading rusher for either team. 7 carries and a total of 54 yards. Clock running down now. 11:50 to go. Rams need a turnover.
Same formation as they bring both Pearson and Howard wide left. Slot back formation. Running backs from set into the I now. In motion goes Howard out right. As here's Staubach back to pass, throws left to Jesse. Jesse's got a blocker at the 40, gets up to, to Pearson, I should say, up to the 44-yard line on the play, and has about 4 yards before Isaiah Robertson knocks him down. That's a gain of 4 and a pass to Drew Pearson, taking that ball at the 44-yard line. It'll be third down and about 2 to go for Dallas. All spotted actually at the 44th, so that's third and a long 2 for Dallas at that point. Clock shows 11 minutes to play in the game now, and it's 34-7 for the Cowboys. Gene Fugate and Billy Joe Dupree, 2 tight ends are in there now, as Howard comes out and Pearson is a lone wide receiver, working as a wingback. Now they come out of the eye, the running backs. Pearson and Newhouse. Hand off is fake to Newhouse. Staubach back to pass. Throwing a long one downfield to the far side. It is caught that time by Pearson as Preston goes out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. Preston Pearson taking that pass. And there again, the Cowboys showing that despite this lead, they will not close off their offense and play it conservatively. They had only the one wide receiver on the play was Drew Pearson. They brought in the 2 tight ends and then go for the bomb. As Preston Pearson coming out of the backfield caught it and was run out of bounds at about the 35-yard line by Dave Elmendorf. And that'll be a first down and 10 to go for the Cowboys at the Rams' 30-yard line it is.
And after that completion to Preston Pearson, Staubach was late getting up. He took a good hit from Youngblood, stayed right in the pocket. Also, Isaiah Robertson came over and got him from the blind side. Staubach slow getting up, but he stays on in there having a great day with 4 touchdown passes.
A play good for 27 yards and a first down to 30. There's a handoff this time given to Charles Young. Young goes past the 30 down to about the 27-yard line, gains 3 yards on the play. Young in there now for Robert Newhouse, the fullback spot. Bill Simpson, the free safety with Merlin Olsen, the veteran inside tackle on the left side. Co-captain of the Rams makes the stop. Gain of 2 yards, 2nd and 8 now for the Cowboys at the Ram 28-yard line. Clock winding down to 10 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. Dallas driving again. They lead at this point 34-7. Running backs are in the eye. Calling a signal. Staubach has the ball. Hands off and through the middle. This time goes Pearson. Preston carries it past the 25 down to the 22. One of the rarities of this Dallas team, a Cowboy who has played elsewhere, Preston Pearson, previously at Baltimore, 1970, 67 to 69, and then the last 4 years in Pittsburgh. A veteran of 2 Super Bowls. And Preston switches uniforms and will be back in again the way things are going. Cody Jones was in there to stop the last play with Dave Elmendorf. It is now 3rd down, 2 to go for the Cowboys at the Los Angeles 22-yard line. Pearson out wide left and Howard out to the right. The pass thrown to Pearson, and Drew steps out of bounds at about the 16-yard line and gains about 6 yards of the play for another Dallas first down. He's pushed out that time by Monty Jackson, the right cornerback. The stop. Gain of 2 yards, 2nd and 8 now for the Cowboys at the Ram 28-yard line. Clock winding down to 10 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. Dallas driving again. They lead at this point 34-7. Running backs are in the eye. Calling a signal. Staubach has the ball. Hands off and through the middle. This time goes Pearson. Preston carries it past the 25 down to the 22. One of the rarities of this Dallas team, a Cowboy who has played elsewhere, Preston Pearson, previously at Baltimore, 1970, 67 to 69, and then the last 4 years in Pittsburgh. A veteran of 2 Super Bowls. And Preston switches uniforms and will be back in again the way things are going. Cody Jones was in there to stop the last play with Dave Elmendorf. It is now 3rd down, 2 to go for the Cowboys at the Los Angeles 22-yard line. Pearson out wide left and Howard out to the right. The pass thrown to Pearson, and Drew steps out of bounds at about the 16-yard line and gains about 6 yards of the play for another Dallas first down. He's pushed out that time by Monty Jackson, the right cornerback. An all-conference star from San Diego State down south. 2nd-round pick this last year, and the number 4 pick of the Rams overall, Monty Jackson, and pressed into service right away this year when Al Clark suffered a broken leg. It's 1st and 10 now for Dallas at the Rams 16-yard line. There goes Percy Howard wide to the right side, and coming out left is Drew Pearson. The running back shipped out of the eye as Staubach calls signals, has the ball, hands it off, and a delay goes Dennison over the right side, past the 15 down to the 14. Jack Youngblood knocks him down. Youngblood bumped up a couple of times today, but coming back in, keeps going at the 14-yard line. Dallas staying on the ground for the moment. We've got a penalty marker on the play. We could have a face mask violation against the Rams on that one. And this is the kind of thing the Rams don't need. They're going to put the ball down to the 10-yard line on the play. An automatic first down for the Dallas Cowboys now at the Rams. Well, 10-yard line. As a matter of fact, that ball appears to be maybe inches shy of the 10, which means technically the Cowboys could get a first down just short of the goal line. Coming wide left now, setting up a slot. Pearson and Howard. Dennison and Newhouse, the running back. Split behind Staubach. First down at the 10. The handoff is given this time to Newhouse. Roberts past the 10, gets almost to the 8-yard line, driving for a couple of yards before he stopped at that point. Hit by Cody Jones and Merlin Olsen. The two tackles inside.
Clock running down now with 9:05 to go in the ball game, and if Staubach would elect to pass down, although I'm sure he's content to keep things on the ground now, if he would throw another touchdown pass, that would tie a record set by Sid Luckman for the Chicago Bears against Washington back in '43. A total of 5 touchdown passes. He has 4 here this afternoon.
Now there goes Pearson wide right. Coming out left is Percy Howard. Staubach has the running backs in the eye, but takes them out of that, splits them behind him. Pearson and Newhouse. Staubach back to pass, going to the end zone. It is incomplete. Intended that time for Percy Howard. Pass was just off to his left as he cut back. Monty Jackson and Ken Geddes covering on the play, switching on him. And that'll bring up third down and about 8 to go. Third and 8 for Dallas in a situation which they have commanded since they went off the field at halftime ahead by 21 points and then scored on their first 3 possessions. This is only the 4th time they've had the ball in the second half. They've scored on the 19-yard pass, that shovel pass to Preston Pearson, and then the 2 field goals by Tony Fritsch.
You don't think Roger heard us talking about that record, do you?
Maybe. Here's, once again, Staubach ready. Throws his pass. Incomplete. Intended that time for Robert Newhouse coming out of the backfield. Newhouse, coming into this ball game, was the number 3 receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. Putting the pressure on him was Jack Youngblood on Staubach that time. And on 4th and 8, the Cowboys bring in their field goal kicking team. And Tony Fritsch will try for a 3rd one in a row. If he gets it, this would be his 7th field goal this year against the Rams after kicking 4 in the season opener down in Dallas.
The roar you heard down in the field, Jack Youngblood and Roger Staubach having some words, and the officials quickly jumping in, but they were hollering at each other as they both went off the field. Staubach now over on the bench, and it looks like referee Tommy Bell has signaled for a timeout for the Dallas Cowboys. So with 8 minutes 33 seconds to go in the ball game, and the score, the Dallas Cowboys 34 and the Los Angeles Rams 7. Let's take this timeout.
Well, a year ago this time, the sponsoring Shriners of the San Francisco Bay Area were within a committee vote of giving up on the East-West game. That was after the Golden Anniversary 50th game when it drew only 33,000 fans to Stanford Stadium, despite an expensive advertising campaign. Coming on the heels of turnouts of 29,073, 39,072, and 47,071, the pressure was on to cancel the game or at least change the all-star format. But some of the older hands around insisted the game should be saved, and they prevailed for one more shot. The last chance was turned into a bonanza at Stanford Stadium on Saturday as more than 75,000 fans, the largest crowd in the game's history, sat in on a 21-14 victory by the West that featured fine individual performances by Chuck Muncy and Steve Rivera of California, Jeb Church of Stanford, and Kim Bocamper of San Jose State.
Tony Fritsch lines up at the 16-yard line for the field goal attempt, and that is good. And the Cowboys have added their 37th point on the scoreboard now with 8.5 minutes left to go in the 4th quarter. As from the hold of Charlie Waters, Tony Fritsch kicks his 3rd successive field goal in the last 3 possessions for the Dallas Cowboys, added to the previous touchdown of the second half, and the Cowboys have now scored 16 more points in the second half to lead the Rams 37-7. Ready to kick off. Tony Fritz will be kicking for Dallas and back to receive for the Rams again. A trio of receivers. One of those is Cullen Bryant. Another is Willie McGee. And the third man, Chuck Panama, will find that slip for us. We can't quite see his number. He's bent over there.
Who's bent over, the Chuck Panama or the receiver?
Both of them. I bet he won't get the ball, Chuck. Forget it. One chance in 3. That's Rob Scribner, I believe. Here's the kick coming down. It's not going to Cullen Bryant. It is taken up about the 10-yard line by McGee. He's up to the 20, up to the 25, gets away from a man at the 30, and down he goes to the 32-yard line. That's a 22-yard run back by Willie McGee, and it'll be first down and 10 to go for the Rams in their 5th possession of this second half. Getting the ball there at about the 32-yard line. That was Warren Capone who stopped the run back for the Cowboys. First and 10 now for the Rams at the Los Angeles 32-yard line. Score is now 37-7 in favor of the Cowboys as the Rams break their huddle coming up to the line of scrimmage. Harold Jackson goes wide left, and coming out right is Ron Jesse. Ron Jaworski, taking over the quarterback chores from James Harris early in the going today, is back to pass. Has good protection, throws it down the middle to Jesse. He's got it midfield. He's into Dallas territory, trying to get around the left side, Cliff Harris, but could not, and down he goes. Ron Jesse taking a pass that time, thrown by Jaworski. See where they're going to spot it right around midfield. That would be a gain on the play of about 18 yards. They're going to spot it exactly on the midfield stripe, an 18-yard pass reception for Ron Jesse, and it's first and 10 to go up at that point at the 50 for the Rams.
Clock winding down, 7:45 to go. Rams trying to stay back in this ball game here. But I think all that's left to determine is the final score and what flight the Cowboys will be taking to Miami, Don Klein.
That's about it. 2 weeks from today, and of course you'll hear that game with Ed Ingles and Jim Kelly here on most of these same CBS radio stations. It'll be Dallas against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who beat the Raiders today, 16-10. Here's Jaworski going back to pass again. Throws it over the middle. Almost it is intercepted. Picked off by D.D. Lewis. He's got the 38 to the 40 and down to about the 43-yard line. It was deflected and into the hands of D.D. Lewis, who grabbed it at the 43 for his second interception of the afternoon. And the Cowboys have it again, now at the Dallas 43-yard line. That interception, the third of the day against the Rams. They came into this ball game having thrown 17 interceptions during the regular season. They gave up the ball 18 times on fumbles. With 35, they took it away 44 times and had a surplus this year of 15, actually. Clint Longley is now in the quarterback Dallas.
And that's the second interception of the game for D.D. Lewis. He, of course, set up the first Dallas score. He intercepted that pass off the arms of number 55, Leroy Jordan, who actually tipped the ball up. So Clint Longley now, a man who has a rather strange hobby, that of collecting rattlesnakes. We got the Polish rifle on one side and the rattlesnake hunter on the other, Don.
Well, he was poisoned that day, remember, on Thanksgiving Day of last year, Jim, against the Washington Redskins. This was the young fellow who beat them in his first NFL game when he completed 11 out of 20 passes after trailing 16-3, one of the great comebacks. I'm sure a lot of our listeners remember seeing that ball game that day. A second-year man from Abilene Christian, Clint Longley, taking over now and giving Roger Staubach a well-deserved rest.
7 minutes, 16 seconds to go now. We'll check the book on Staubach as Longley will set the Cowboys down. First and 10 to go from their own 43-yard line. Roger had 149 yards passing in the first half, and we'll close the book on his performance here this afternoon. He leaves with 4 touchdown passes, one shy of the record set by Sid Luckman as the Bears played Washington a few years ago. Quite a few years ago, as a matter of fact. So Longley takes over and sets his club down now. And all that remains for the Rams, a little bit of pride. And believe me, despite the fact the score is 37-7, they're still hitting out there on the Coliseum floor. In fact, on the preceding interception, Randy White, the All-American from Maryland, and Rich Saul, the center for the Rams, exchanging New Year's greetings even as Jordan was tipping the ball to D.D. Lewis.
And now here's Longley ready, hands it off to Doug Dennison, and Dennison has spilled just a step past the line of scrimmage. Doug Dennison, the ball carrier, hit by Cody Jones and Ken Geddes coming up in the left linebacker spot. Gain of a yard, 2nd and 9 to go for Dallas now at the Cowboy 43-yard line. They've got a new tight end in, Ron Howard from Seattle University. second-year man. Son is a free agent last year. He's in there now for both Gene Fugit and Billy Joe Dupree, who has also been playing at the tight end spot. They've actually put that ball right at the line of scrimmage. No gain. 2nd and 10 for the Cowboys now at the Dallas 43. And Clint Longley is all set. 23-year-old quarterback in there now for the Cowboys. He hands it off to Dennison, coming on across up to the left side, gets up to about the 44-yard line. If anything, he gained no more than a yard. Merlin Olsen got him. The Cowboys have the ball, but we should point out one of the real points of this game that no one expected. The Rams have not registered a first down from rushing this afternoon. And here we're speaking of a team that averaged 169 yards rushing per game this year, number 3 in the conference. They have been unable to negotiate a single first down against the Cowboy defense this afternoon. Here's Dallas at the line of scrimmage now on 3rd and 10, and it's Longley going back into a shotgun formation. Waiting for the snap from Fitzgerald. He has the ball. He's back to pass. Throws one to the right side. It's caught over there at the 45-yard line that time by Drew Pearson, and he is out of bounds at about the 46. That's exactly what he needed for the first down in Ram territory. Eddie McMillan, the left cornerback for the Rams, covering on the play, and that'll move the yard sticks and make it a 1st and 10 to go for the Cowboys at the Ram 46.
Just like hunting rattlesnakes. Right. It was Longley who played against the New York Jets in the season finale for the Dallas Cowboys. They gave Staubach a bit of a breather there. And in that game, the Jets jumped out to a 14-0 lead in the swirling winds at Shea Stadium, but Longley brought the Cowboys back, and they won that game by 10, 31-21. First down, 10 yards to go now. Spotted at the 45.5-yard line of the Rams, Longley in command, and he has a 30-point lead to work with.
Here's Clint ready now at the Rams' 46-yard line. He moves Drew Pearson in motion and now pitches over this side of Dennison, coming in for that block from Pearson at the 45 to the 44-yard line. He gains about 2 yards on the play before Cody Jones knocks him down. Pearson on that particular play will line up as a wide receiver and then move in motion in toward the line, where he then becomes a blocker as the play comes in that direction to him. Longley pitching to Dennison, who came to the left side and was hit down after gaining 2. It's 2nd down and 8 to go now for Dallas at the Rams' 44-yard line. This is Dallas's 5th possession of the second half, and they have scored on all previous 4 times they've had the ball. A TD and 3 field goals from 40, 25, and 26 yards by Tony Fritsch. Here's Longley handing off to Newhouse. He reverses his first move, goes past the 45 to the 40, down to the 35-yard line. As Newhouse was bumped and spun around back to his left side and then ran down the middle. Bill Simpson and Dave Elmendorf, the safeties, got him, but not until he has a first down at the 34-yard line of the Rams. 1st and 10 for Dallas at the Rams 34.
And I'll tell you, Don, Newhouse got that all on his own. They tried to open up the right side of the line. It went absolutely nowhere, and the little bowling ball just slithered on through for a nice gain. Clock continues to run now. 3:45 to go in the ball game. Dallas up by 30.
Pearson goes wide right. Howard comes out left. Richards still resting, and I doubt whether they'd put him back in. Having suffered that injury, they do not need his services now. Here's the handoff. The ball given off this time to Young, and Charles carries it in there for Robert Newhouse. Gains down to about the 30-yard line. Bill Simpson was the man who stopped him at about the 30. That would be a gain of some 4 yards. Making it 2nd down and 6 to go for Dallas. Ralph Neely is hurt on the play. 11-year veteran from Oklahoma of the Dallas Cowboys. 4-time All-Pro. 2-time All-American at Oklahoma before that. Actually, the Cowboys got him after he went to Baltimore back in 1965, but he's been a Dallas Cowboy all the way since. From the 30-yard line now, he is replaced by Pat Donovan, the rookie from Stanford, who played a defensive end for the Cards in his collegiate days, a 4th-round pick, and number 5 choice of the Dallas Cowboys this year. It was Howard wide right, and coming out left now is Drew Pearson. Longley, the quarterback, shifts the backs out of a split to an I formation. The handoff is given to the lead man, Newhouse, and he's down at the 30-yard line. Gains about a yard on the play as Jack Youngblood pulls him down.
Don, you're not worried about a traffic jam at the end of this game, are you?
No, I'd say we've got a break that way as far as getting out of the airport is concerned, Jim. You look at this crowd now, and I'd say about half of the people who came to watch this are listening on the radio by now.
I would say that's a wise assumption. And what are the other half doing?
I don't know. Maybe, as a matter of fact, they're Rams, and they may be listening to music by now. Huh?
If each and every one of you would send in...
It's 3rd down and about 7 to go. Rams expecting much better things than what has transpired here today when they got the break of having this ball game here rather than back in Minneapolis. In cold weather, this was made to order for the Rams. Here's the handoff, the ball given this time to Charles Young, and Young goes past the 30 down to the 29 where Merlin Olsen was the man who got him. And that'll bring up a 4th down with a 2-minute warning to the benches. Speaking, going to the airport, Frank Miller, our executive producer from CBS, along with Jim. And you fellows be heading down to the warmer confines of Miami, soon to cover that Super Bowl.
That's right, and of course, you can hear Super Bowl 10 right here over most of these CBS radio network stations. And of course, our friends all around the world.
$500. Now back to the Coliseum.
Here's Dallas ready on 4th down for 30-yard line. They have about 7 to go. Spent Lonley's back in a shotgun formation. The quarterback has the ball, back to pass. Throws it down to the 20. It's caught for a first down by Young, and he's out of bounds at about the 16-yard line. So Dallas keeps this drive alive. At that time, Charles Young, coming out of the backfield, was the hot receiver for Clint Longley. He took the ball at the 16-yard line, and that's enough for the first down. As they set up there, we'll pause 5 seconds to allow our stations to identify themselves. The NFC Championship game from Los Angeles over the CBS radio network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
And here's Dallas ready now, operating at the Ram 15-yard line after starting from their own 43 in this drive. The running back shipped into the eye, and the tailback is Dennison behind Robert Newhouse. Clint Longley has the ball, fakes a little pitch, and then gives it off on a handoff this time to Newhouse. Squirms through a hole at the 15 down to the 11-yard line. Gains about 4 yards on the play. And so that will make it now, after a gain on that play, Merlin Olsen was the man who stopped it. A gain on that play of some 4 yards. And it will make it now 2nd down and 6 to go. 2nd and 6 for the Dallas Cowboys. Jim, you know, the winner of this team comes out about $3,000 ahead of the loser. They also assure themselves of at least $15,000 in the Super Bowl. So this meant about $18,500, around $18,000 per man for Dallas to win this ball game today.
No question about that. I would have to think it means much more to Tom Landry and the Cowboys, though. As we talked before, it was supposed to have been a rebuilding year for Dallas. Landry, as Don told you earlier in the broadcast, said that this was his greatest year as far as coaching enjoyment, that this team has been a delight. As Don counted down.
As Longley now to Dennison on the handoff, and Dennison is filled by Olsen as the clock runs down 9 seconds, 8 seconds. This is all. As a matter of fact, the players are leaving the field already with the clock showing 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. It is all over. And the Dallas Cowboys are in the Super Bowl against Pittsburgh. After a decisive victory here today in Los Angeles, the end of the game, the final score, Dallas 37 and Los Angeles 7.